Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to New to Mythics Live. Um,
Jeez, I can't see or breathe. Too fat for a stormtrooper. How's everybody? Welcome.
Doing great, man.
Ed's got some issues. There's Ed. How you doing, Ed?
All right, trying to figure out the issues. Good morning.
Right on. Whew. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday,
everyone. Good to see you all.
Good to see you guys. Mike, thank you very much. This guy is working like a dog, and he texted me a few minutes ago. Basically, I was just hopping in the shower and said, "Hey, I'm off." So I said, "Come on in, man." So thank you very much for,
Hey, thanks for having me. This is
your day off to to come in here. So thank you, man. You're always welcome to hop on.
To have off. May the 4th be with you. Is that
yes?
Absolutely. Thank you guys also. I mean, everyone is off today, but Mike is not usually off on Sundays, so I really wanted to thank him especially. Thank you guys. Jesse, you had a show yesterday at the Lehigh Valley show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where was that at? What is it? Lehigh Valley, but
Yep.
Is it?
It's in technically it's in Palmer, PA, which is like Easton, so it's like right on the border almost to New Jersey.
Yeah.
Was it a good show?
Yeah, it was a good show. It felt pretty busy. I didn't walk around anything. I kind of was at the table all day, except when I ran out to get lunch in the little cafeteria there.
Nice. Yeah, it was nice. I was kind of watching. Hedgehog had a live thing going, and I had buddies like Chris down here and also Brian Carr that were sending some pictures and stuff. So it was nice, even though I wasn't there. It was nice to see all my friends at the show. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I get ratted on anytime I pick up my phone at a show. Someone's tattling on me to Curtis or Curtis's, so I just try not to touch my phone unless I'm using the calculator.
Yeah,
there you go.
I saw Wolf King had a really cool was it coin or whatever with the barbarian and the logo or something for the show to hand out. Amber was handing it out.
Yeah, they gave them out in the line as a way to because they only had so many they had at the table.
Right.
And they were giving the coins out to the people in line, and then they saved some for the 10 o'clock general admission. And you had to turn the coin in to get the barbarian, and then I think you were able to get it back.
Again, sir.
Here we go.
Ed, you got some puffy eyes, Ed. You look tired, buddy.
Yeah, man. I only got like 3 hours sleep.
That is so cool.
Yeah, that is sweet.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
To have that.
Good idea.
Into a mountain. Yeah.
I didn't hear somebody said something. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. I said I put a magnet on the back of it and I'm turned it into a refrigerator magnet.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Cool little.
That's a great idea.
Piece to put up there.
I was going to use it to play checkers.
Yeah.
I didn't catch it until I saw it on the back of the coin just now. It just dawned on me that okay, so we get He-Man, we get Conan, we get all these different. That one's with the chains breaking there. I'm getting Samson vibes off of that right there.
Right?
Oh, yeah,
and it says Eastern PA on it. So
now, was there different coins?
I think they were the same.
All the same?
Yeah.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He is Len is really good about doing fun things. If you buy off of his site, you get extra parts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we debuted our we don't have the full name and bio worked up for the website yet, but we debuted our the Easton there's an Easton canal museum there talking about the canal system. So we debuted our mule kit. So it's a mule head with a helmet and 3 options for the hooves.
Nice.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, help me out, Jesse. What's Easton? Is this a made-up city within some lore?
No, Easton is a city in Pennsylvania,
right
on the edge of New Jersey.
Gotcha.
I didn't know that either.
So, and it's I mean, that's where the event was.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah, they used to have. There was like a whole like canal system, and like donkeys pulling the barges and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, I was. I went to ToyCon, New Jersey, and stayed with Brian last Friday night, and really got to see a lot of Pennsylvania. Usually, I'm driving through it to get to Legion's Con or to New Jersey, but it was really nice to get off of that whatever interstate that is. That's so damn boring that goes through the mountains. No offense
80?
to Pennsylvanians, but it was nice to go into like some towns and stuff. Brian lives in I think it's Bladen, and I saw New Hope, and I saw a few towns like in between on my way to New Jersey. But it's really beautiful area, and some great people. I got to try a authentic Philly cheesesteak.
That's what I'm talking about.
Man, that was good. Man, it was huge. It was like a foot long, and it had some kind of Cooper sharp cheese in it. And man,
well, that's not a real Philly cheesesteak then. If it doesn't have cheese whiz on it,
that's what I thought. But I was actually okay with that. I cheese whiz. I don't know, man. I'm a little. I feel like that would ruin the steak, but I know that's sacrilegious. But
I completely agree. But that's the my understanding. That's the official version.
Right. Absolutely.
I love me some cheese whiz.
Do you?
Cheese whiz, mix it with some mayonnaise. Oh man.
Oh man.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jesse. I forgot.
Right.
My bad.
I'm with you.
My bad. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Hey, you like what you like. You like what you like, man.
Yeah.
Let's say hi to people in the chat. We've got Elemental Crafting. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Chris Johnson. Good morning, all good people. Good morning to you, sir. Chris, did you get to make it to Tardy's? He had Tardy's Comics had a free comic book day yesterday. I didn't get to make it out there.
Oh, it was the free comic book day.
Yeah. J Mac, good morning, guys. Good morning, Jay. Rick Emmert. Morning, dudes. Good morning, man. Appreciate you. Wholesome Warlock. On a high last night. Last night was Van's birthday. They had a great show last night. Purple Gang Gang.
I want to know what figure Ed's is kissing.
Oh, I was actually smelling it. It has a specific aroma to it. When I took it out the box right now.
Is that going to be your show and tell?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Kevin Hamilton, good morning. Good morning. We've got Thunderstorm Heart. I like that name. Good morning, all. Good morning, Thunder. Appreciate you. Jordan says Shrek voice donkey. Donkey. Jordan, Easton is East Mythos capital. I like that. I like that. Kevin says now you need a Scranton one. Yes. Every time I drive by Scranton, I'm like, hey, that's where Dunder Mifflin is, right?
Yep.
Kevin and Creed heads for Scranton Con. Hell yeah, Creed baby. That would be amazing. Yes.
We'd have to do a bloody variant for Creed.
Yeah, hell yeah. Didn't know it was till it's too late. Yeah, I saw the post, Chris, and I was busy yesterday and didn't get it. I don't even think I left the house, maybe to go grocery shopping or something. But yeah, I was busy, so that's okay. Let's see here. Formaldehyde. Oh, is that what he's smelling? He's smelling formaldehyde. Those figures, yeah. Kevin head plus Ganesha body and a pot o' chili. That's what I'm talking about. Yep.
Yeah, today would be a good chilly day down here in Virginia, man. We were rain. Thank God we got rain to wash the pollen away, but it's a rainy, wet day.
Yeah, it's coming down here too in the Poconos.
Yeah, and
yeah, it's actually the last 2 days have been not too bad here in Michigan, but it's just now starting to turn spring like. It's been kind of cold and rainy and dreary and all that. So
we were almost in the 90s here yesterday.
Was it really? Jeez.
Yeah, it was hot yesterday.
Yeah, we haven't got any we haven't got much warm weather at all. It's still hoodie and pants. I still rock those sandals though, Curtis. Sorry about that.
I need to move to Michigan.
You should. Pretty chilly.
It's too hot here for me.
Yeah, 90s. 90s and above.
It's like 75, I think.
Oh, is it?
Oh man,
Yeah,
I take that all day, Jesse.
So today is May the 4th. So I wanted to talk some Star Wars before we delved into all the mythic news. Some people, I know Ed is not a big Star Wars guy, and that's okay. But I wanted to ask, what does Star Wars mean to you guys, or thoughts or memories that you guys had? I'll go first since I'm the host, and I'm I remember, I'm that old, but I remember my dad taking me and my grandpa to see it. I think we saw it. We call it Down Below, basically LA area. But I remember seeing the movie that was 77. I don't know what month it came out in. Do you guys remember? Was it May?
May 25th,
May 25th.
1977.
Thank you. And it just expanded my thoughts, and I just looking at the stars and just all of the imagery. Like I think I got a storybook when I was a kid, and I would just go through it over and over. I mean, we didn't have DVDs, we didn't have internet, we weren't able to see it unless we went back to the movies, which my dad was cool enough to take us back and watch it again. But it just evoked so much, just my imagination, just like what is beyond the stars. Like the movie kind of made me realize, like, hey, there's who knows what's out there. The stars are just endless, and there could be countless adventures. And I'm like, this place is boring. I want to go out there and have some adventures. So that was kind of my earliest memory. But that property really, I latched onto it. Always loved it. Always had nostalgia for it. And there's so much lore and so much stories and all that, but like just the property I love. Like I'll always watch whatever comes on, and whether I enjoy it or not, whether it's as good as the last whatever, it doesn't matter, because it's something about it just makes me happy. George really made something amazing. So that's my thoughts on Star Wars. I'll always love it. It always make me feel like a kid again. I always get giddy when some new movie comes on, or I hear that lightsaber, here's my Qui-Gon Jinn that I paid way too much for from Disneyland. Qui-Gon Jinn is my favorite Jedi. That's the Liam Neeson.
Nice.
Yeah. So it just makes me feel like a kid again. So that's why I love Star Wars. Who's
Sweet.
next? Who wants to share their memories or what it means to you? Mike? Heinrich?
Well,
Mike, go ahead. We'll just go around the...
Yeah, for me, it started it all because action figures. I'm 52, so back in 77 when it came out, I was 4, so I was still young. But I remember getting, and I still have it downstairs on my shelf, a C-3PO figure, Kenner C-3PO. And that's what kind of started it all. So it was, for me, it was Star Wars. So I have George Lucas to thank for this wonderful hobby, I suppose, in a way. And then, of course, moved into Motu and then Transformers, just the first couple of Transformers. I wasn't really into G.I. Joe that much. It had a few of those. But I still have that C-3PO down on the shelf, and boy, is that figure beat up, but I love it. Man, I love it. And for anybody in their 50s, late 40s, the original trilogy was huge. just
Massive.
yeah. And I think with the prequels, when my boy was my age, the prequels were coming out. So when I was 4 when A New Hope came out, my boy was 4 when I believe Revenge of the Sith came out. So that was kind of neat. I got to take him to that movie, and he enjoyed it. Of course, we had to kind of walk out when Anakin got destroyed on Mustafar, but that was a convenient time to go to the bathroom.
Right.
He was just
my stepson was kind of, he grew up in that the new trilogy kind of time. So for him, Obi-Wan was like it, and that took me a while because I'm like, Obi-Wan was like kind of this old wizard, he didn't do very much. He was kind of like the mentor, and but like in the next trilogy, like Obi-Wan was an ass kicker. Like I'll never forget him like being in General Grievous's like that big hangar or whatever it was. I need to rewatch it. And he just jumps down there. All these robots are like, guns trained on him or whatever. And like, he's like, hello there. You know what I mean? And like, he's like, I want you. Like, it was just like, so like macho, manly. The dude was unstoppable. Like, I mean,
I wonder how many people who watched the first trilogy, grew up with the first trilogy, loving Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and not giving Obi-Wan a chance until they saw the prequels.
Yes.
He became my favorite character.
Yeah. I mean,
Plus, it was Ewan McGregor.
Yes, Ewan McGregor. I mean, he was the heart, in my opinion, of that trilogy. I think the emotion, like Jordan said it, right there, like you were like a brother to me. Like that emotional, like you could feel that, like that torment and that brokenheartedness that like, what have you done? Like, what happened to you? Like, why did you go down this dark road? And it's like, just like the torment, the what he was feeling, looking at his friend and like how far down he'd gone. And it was just like, man, it breaks you up, like, but man, so good. Sorry, Heinrich, go ahead.
That's all good. I got to tell you what, I'm glad there's a lot of guys on here so that way I don't talk, because I could talk Star Wars for hours, if not days. It had such an effect on myself and my brothers. I got 2 younger brothers. So I was 5.5. My brother Chris was 4.5, and my brother Mark was 2.5. So he was real little. But as the movies came out, we grew up going to see it. It was every summer it actually came out. A New Hope came out, and
I love that. Yeah,
until Empire came out. Same thing. Empire was until Jedi came out. If it wasn't for Star Wars, I wouldn't be here with you guys. I wouldn't be collecting. I wouldn't be enjoying action figures as much. I wouldn't be enjoying storytelling as much. And I also probably would not have the appreciation that I do for the people behind the scenes. And there's been I heard about Industrial Light and Magic from when I was a kid in the books. You were talking about Schmerber, like there was information, not a ton like we can access today, but there was information about stuff going on.
Yes.
There was even the horrible Star Wars holiday special, which introduced my favorite character, Boba Fett. And it was really terrible. It's really bad. If anybody hasn't seen it, you can go find it on YouTube.
Skip it.
No. What you want to do is you want to hit fast forward until you get to the Boba Fett animated.
Yeah, the animated part was awesome.
The animated part's awesome.
I remember.
But it landed its own.
No.
It's the introduction. It's not the best one, but it was a cool one. But when I saw Empire Strikes Back, it totally. I was older. I was 9, almost 9 years old. And I started understanding a whole lot more. And thank God we didn't have the rumors and internet stuff to ruin Luke, I'm your father, and all that stuff. But I had the honor and pleasure. Gosh, I'm trying to remember how many years ago. But some close friends and I went to George Washington University to see George Lucas receive the George Smithson Award, which is awarded by the entity that was set up by British, basically millionaire George Smithson, which is the Smithsonian now. His endowment created the Smithsonian. And so George got the award, and he talked for probably about 20, 30 minutes. And then Dennis Murin and Ben Burt came out. And Dennis Murin is basically one of the godfathers of special effects. Like, you wouldn't have Jurassic Park and all the cool stuff without Dennis Murin.
Right.
He spent 3 days in a row awake trying to get the program to work, and he got it. And it's, if you've seen Jurassic Park, it's the Tyrannosaurus foot coming down in the mud. That's what he spent trying to get it, because otherwise Steven Spielberg was going to have to do claymation.
There was a lot of ingenuity and just groundbreaking for technology for Lucas. Like, he didn't mind investing in, you know, the future of cinema.
He also did stuff that was unheard of. He owned the merchandising licensing rights for Star Wars. The studio didn't. And that enabled him and his team to kind of go out and do all sorts of cool things. You know, our friend Terrence didn't know until we were in the chat a couple weeks or months ago. Star Wars, the year before it came out, Phil Tippett from Star Wars, from Lucasfilm, went to San Diego Comic-Con with early bird posters on a table, little table, and, hey, we got this great movie coming out next year, and here's a free poster. Those posters are probably worth hundreds of thousands of dollars today because they went off on people's doors. So it's cool. In the 90s, early 90s, mid 90s, I went to San Diego Comic-Con in 94 and 96, and they had Star Wars Day, and they handed out free stuff. One of the things I actually have is they had this table with artists, and you could get sketches and signatures. And I've got a Boba Fett sketch there from the lovely Amanda Connor, who was one of the most talented artists in Marvel, DC, and independent.
Awesome.
And a couple other things. I don't have it on this card, but I do have it was a big giant trading card that Topps trading card did, that is signed by Greg and Tim Hildebrand, who both passed on. And those gentlemen were instrumental in doing movie posters and artistry. There's people like Ralph McQuarrie, who did a lot of the initial designs for Star Wars.
Yes, he deserves a lot of credit for sure for what Star Wars visually looks like, I think.
Right. Doug Shang, if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, who also worked on a lot of background stuff. And the other one, too, of course, is the immortal, and truly immortal because he's 94, 95, John Williams.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
John Williams, who just...
Sweeping score just evokes so much, for sure.
You know, he's one of the few people that he competed against himself in Oscars and Grammys. And, like, you know, he would have more, except he had to compete against himself because the movies that were out at the time, you know. He did there were these two young teenagers that went to his house, and they played the Star Wars theme. One was playing it on a trombone and the other playing it on a saxophone. And he actually came out and watched them play and took pictures with them afterwards. So there's such a great family, familial, presence with Star Wars. You know, so many people that, you know, their careers got launched. I went to go see in Chicago years ago the Men Behind the Mask tour, and they had David Prowse, who played Darth Vader, Anthony Daniels, who played C-3PO, and they had Jeremy Bulloch, who played Boba Fett. And so I've got a number of cool Boba Fett pictures and stuff signed by Jeremy. He was a gentleman. And I saw on his table, and keep me up because I'll show you this, he had this really cool pencil tin that was from overseas, and it has the incredible artwork of Dave Dorman, who's one of the Star Wars poster and comic book artists. And so I was like, oh, can I buy that? And he goes, oh, you know, that's actually promised for somebody, but I think I may have another in my room. And I said, well, I'll pay you for it now if you do. He's like, no. I'll take your name down and come back after lunch. So I came back after lunch, and sure enough, he had it and he signed it for me. And
that's awesome.
You know, spent a few minutes with him. I wish cell phones back then had better camera and video.
Yeah.
I didn't even think to bring, you know, camera and all that stuff. I really wish I had, but it's been a lot of special moments thanks to Star Wars. A lot of joy, a lot of engagement with my friends. and it's just been something special.
Absolutely, I agree. I'd met Peter Mayhew, who played Chewbacca, and was so kind and friendly and gracious. I brought my stepson, and it was just I was in awe just being there and talking to him. Definitely, he was elderly at the time I met him, but super nice guy. How about you, Chris? What you got?
Uh, I Yeah, like Mike, I'm in my 50s. I'm 54. So I remember being at a drive-in with my parents and my brother sitting in the back of my parents had a Scout Jeep, sitting in the back of the Jeep watching the trailer for the first time for Star Wars. And my brother and I just being completely blown away, like, what the
Mhm.
hell is that? Oh my God. You can't rewind anything. Couldn't go online and look up anything, but we were so blown away by it. And then my father, being the kind of guy he was, found out where Star Wars was going to be released because it was only going to be at some local theater, like kind of far from our house. He found a showing. We got out of school early, took us to the showing of it, and we saw it for the first time. Yeah, it changed everything. I mean, I could tell you how many times in my life Star Wars has come in. I mean, there's that. Going to the first Midnight Madness for episode one, which, all those prequels used to get a lot of bad talk, but I mean, at the time it was exciting. I mean, it was so exciting going to that opening night and going to that Midnight Madness, those events and doing all that and everything. Or the first time I found out that they were doing Power of the Force figures, which now are so laughable, but seeing those for the first time was like, what? Star Wars figures again? I gotta get these, or going to the store as a kid and seeing like a wall, of Star Wars figures and being told pick out a few of them, and your mind went crazy and you just wanted to grab stuff. Yeah, Star Wars it led to me wanting to watch, wanting to get into other things,
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I watched
Gateway.
Aliens because of Star Wars.
Oh,
Like,
Alien.
talk about a polar opposite effect, right?
So good.
You watch all these Star Wars movies, and they're sci-fi fantasy. Everything's positive. And you watch Alien, and it's just not the case. And
Dark
as a
and
kid, it terrified
heavy.
me. Yeah, it terrified me. But I love that. So, Star Wars has had an unimaginable impact, I think, on all of our lives. I think, especially if you're of a certain age, you're a Gen Xer, without question. It's funny because talking about like the prequels, for the prequels, those kids are now adults and they love those movies and they have such
Right.
fond memories of being kids. Um, I think even the new ones, even the sequels, seeing all these little kids dressed up like the characters, seeing all these little girls dressed up like Rey, seeing all these little boys up like Finn, and they love that stuff. I think in
Yes.
10, 15 years, you're going to see a lot of those sequels from kids. And
Mhm.
kids are not going to care. When they were kids, they're not going to care that, this happened or that happened or it didn't. I think, Star Wars is for kids. And as adults, I'm
Yes,
so lucky. I think we're all
I
lucky that we
agree.
have it. We truly are. And Heinrich is right. All of those guys who worked on Star Wars, they all went to work on so many projects. We know the history of Dune and how Dune was going to be, created. Originally, all those guys were pulled together to do Dune, and they didn't use a lot of that stuff, and that stuff filtered into Star Wars. Yeah, it's so all connected. But yeah, I think we are the luckiest generation. I mean, I think
I
to have
agree.
had Star Wars, to have grown up with Star Wars, to have experienced it in '77, and then to have those years, those thin years without it, where if you got a novel and it was Star Wars, it was exciting. You talked
Oh
about it.
yeah,
You got the comic books,
going
it
in
was
the mind's
exciting.
eye.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the ones in the 90s
Yes,
that came
Bulls of the
out,
Mind's Eye. That was
the Timothy Zahn novels that came out, and also Dark Horse
yeah.
Comics did, in conjunction with that, they did Dark Empire, which is, to be honest, between Zahn novels and Dark Empire, that should have been episodes 7, 8, and 9, not the stuff that we got, because those novels and comics stayed true to what was
So good.
the love of Star Wars, with also moving things forward. And they did it too. They were working with Lucasfilm in conjunction. It was all, at the time, unlike what Disney does today, it was considered canon. and it was good because it was authentic to the characters and to the spirit of Star Wars. But they moved the needle forward for fans when there was no, at the time, movies coming out. There was no movies on the horizon, and until those books and comics came out, George Lucas wasn't even thinking about doing it until the success really, and people started asking, "You're going to do more movies? You're going to do more movies?" And that's when he said, "Okay, yeah, let's do it."
Yeah. I will make one statement though. I definitely don't think you should fast forward through the holiday special. I think you should watch it. I think B. Arthur is worth watching. She's amazing. So any scenes that she's in, she's worthwhile. But yeah, I think it's without question. Our generation it's everywhere. There's a novel, and I'm probably going to get the name wrong. I think it's How Star Wars Conquered the Universe, Past, Present, Future. Really great novel about what an influence Star Wars has had, like on everything. Yeah, if you could find it, I don't know how popular it is now or if it's available, but I think it's How Star Wars Conquered the Universe, something like that. But it's really good. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really made an impact on so many generations. Just the goodness of it, the fantasy, the hope, the mythologies, all that stuff. Dorklair says Heir to Empire could have worked as a movies if they had done them in the 90s. Yeah, I agree. They should have. I don't know why they didn't. Yeah. That would have been great to see. Trevor says no, except for the Boba cartoon, the holiday special should be totally avoided. I mean, it's not my favorite thing to see. I think I've seen it a couple times. And there is some painful moments, and then just seeing Harrison Ford's face, like, what the hell am I doing here?
I'll say this, if I can throw this in about the holiday special. If you are a fan of Star Wars, you should at least watch it once, and if you can, watch the Riff Tracks Mystery Science Theater guys version, because at least you get their jokes to go along with it,
right?
And all the old commercials and stuff. But it's rough, and yeah, but I think it should be watched at least once.
Yeah, it's painful. It is painful. It is torturous, but I think I agree with Jesse. You have to watch it. I think fast forwarding it, you have to watch it. It's a rite of passage, definitely.
Well, guys, I have the link, so we're gonna watch the whole thing right now.
All right.
Just kidding.
I've seen it once. I'm out.
Right. Later, guys. Yeah. I'll leave my own show. I do have a quick thing here that we'll just watch real quick. I watched it a couple times this morning, and I was just like, oh, love it. That Wilhelm. I love that. Awesome. Sorry, I just had to.
If I may.
Yes, of course.
Real quick.
You may.
Now, I know there's a lot of complaints about how the females are used in the newer stuff, but I mean, you watch that clip, Leia's holding it down while Luke's playing with his rope.
Absolutely.
Right? That's all I got to say.
She has been there since the beginning. She was like, or in the garbage before they jumped down into the garbage scout thing, like she was like out there, like in the hallway, like blasting. Like she held her own. She was badass for sure.
She was doing work, man. Yeah.
Doing work.
I love that look she gives back to him, like, "Are you ready yet?" And he's just like fumbling with the rope,
which was like a twine, like some kind of like space polymer rope thing.
It's like
why they need to reinforce it for me. Like I would need like my own pulley or some kind of cable There's no way I'd be in trouble.
Well, Mike, Foster wouldn't have been able to do that.
No, absolutely not. What's interesting, when we grew up, we had a lot of badass female characters. Leia was badass.
Yes,
Tila,
always
badass. You even go like Scarlet in G.I. Joe. So they were represented way back then. It was really cool. I think my favorite female character is Tila. And Leia's not too far behind.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that, and I love
we had
that.
Ripley. I mean,
We have Red Sonja. We had from Thunder the Barbarian, the princess.
Princess Ariel, yeah.
Yeah. So
Making room for my doggy.
We had Ripley. The
Herculoids, his wife, she will bring it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Herculoids. I love the Herculoids.
I know, I do
Right?
too. I love Herculoids so much. Oh my god.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
John, how about you, buddy?
Well, I mean, the original trilogy, that all came out before I was born, so I never saw those in the theater, obviously.
Okay.
I remember being young and those always being on at like family parties and things like that, and watching them there, playing with the toys and things like that. I wish I still had those toys. And going outside and just like pretending to be the characters and like pretending to have like lightsabers and things like that, and just those memories, and just like you kind of like you were talking about before, Greg, like just like the possibilities, things like that. What kind of did it for me was like really just the almost like the X-wing, like really getting into the like the starships and the vehicles. Those things always really appealed to me.
Oh yeah.
Especially too as I got a little bit older and got more into like video games, and as the Star Wars video games came out, and like really wanting to be able to like fly in an X-wing, and like that's how it really appealed to me, is just as I got older, just being able to act it out in those ways. And then it kind of as it went away a little bit, as as I continued to get older, and then all of a sudden came flooding back in over these last few years or so with all the new movies, and so it's it's picked up for me even more so now that it's been coming back. So it's a little bit different for me, I guess, in terms of because I wasn't there for the beginning of it, and then but I do have some of those memories of early childhood with it, coming a little bit later for me though. So
no, that's okay. It's like whatever era that you jump in on, it's still, I mean, you can go forwards and backwards and enjoy, but it's always interesting what characters or what timeline that you prefer. You know what I mean? Like some of us older people are like, oh, we love the original trilogy, and then my stepson, who's 30 now, he loved the the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
The era that you grew up in, but you have it's nice to have so much content now as opposed to when we were kids. We just had, when we're lucky, we had the VCR with the cassette and Star Wars or Laserdisc or whatever. I remember picking up a used copy from the local video store. They were selling Star Wars, and I wish I still had that VHS cassette. But man, I remember taking it to my friends, and we just watched it like all weekend, just over and over and over and over and over.
I have a friend,
the lines.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine who's a big DVD, Blu-ray, audio guy, and years ago when everything was being switched over to DVD, and then after the special editions came out, he wanted non-special edition of Star Wars, and he found somebody over in Malaysia that did they took the Japanese English versions of the Laserdisc, and were able to somehow rip it and put it onto DVD for us. So like, it was actually pretty cheap. It was like $15 a disc shipped. So like, he got a copy, he ordered me a copy, and like, it's a little rough watching it because it's not as clean as you would watch it on, Disney Plus or anything. The lighting is not the best and all that because it's a copy of a copy, but it does feel good sometimes to see that. I will also say too that I also very much enjoyed the Clone Wars, both the original that was done that were like, 5-minute shorts, and then also what became the long, I think it was like 7 or 8 seasons of Clone Wars.
Yes.
And a lot of
Clone Wars,
and a lot of kids, I think, that were watching it at the time, they have grown up to young adults, and they really appreciate, Anakin Skywalker for what he was going through. Anakin was the young hero in Clone Wars.
yes,
And we didn't really get to see that much of it in the movies as much because of the him turning to the dark side and all that. But seeing the reception that the actor Hayden Christensen got at Star Wars Celebration, and some other things I've seen on the web where he's at shows, he wasn't appreciated at the time of the prequels.
Right.
But he is so beloved now, and I think he really truly enjoys it now. He really embraces it and
embraces it. Right. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, because I mean, you think about it, the prequels, you have 6-7 hours to tell this huge story and to emote and have the fall of Anakin, and I think Clone Wars really fleshed that character, and Obi-Wan as well, and a lot of the characters. I think Clone Wars really epitomizes Star Wars. Like it's so Star Wars. Do you know what I mean? Like just the writing, Dave Filoni just did an amazing job. I recommend watching Clone Wars to everybody that's a Star Wars fan. I know some people are like, it's an animated cartoon, I'm not watching that or whatever, but it's so Star Wars. I don't even know how to relay that, but just the stories and the character development was so good. So I need to rewatch those. Those are so good. Dorklair says, I'm here for all
I
of
have
it.
cousins in their 20s, and for them, the Clone Wars was Star Wars.
Yeah.
They don't connect with the movies as much. They connect with that TV show. They connect with, that's their Star Wars. And they're they are very, very connected to that. They'll watch the other Star Wars media and they'll do it, but for them, that's their Star Wars. So I think that you just said that idea of content, where we're living in an age where, there is a lot of content, and,
Yeah, absolutely. Dorklair says, I'm here for all of it. People forget that there has been mediocre Star Wars alongside the good stuff the entire time. Well said, sir. And then Kevin says, who prefers theatrical over special editions? I wish we had both. I wish they would let us choose, either one. Go ahead, Jesse. Sorry.
No. I was saying
agreeing.
I do. I prefer the theatrical.
Absolutely. Dorklair says, Clone Wars is a good example of this. Lots of great episodes. Also lots of boring filler too. People sometimes forget the mediocre stuff through the fog of nostalgia. That is also correct.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I'm foggy all the time.
I totally agree. It's the perfect statement.
Yeah.
And
just as there's, I'm not going to delve into it, but like the Alkalite came out last year, and I was very disappointed in it, and I'm going to stay away from the whole stuff. But then Andor has been a great series,
right?
In that there's no Jedi, there's no Sith, but there is the beginnings of what's going on. It's political intrigue, but it's also very much rooted, I think, to where the beginning of the rebellion was, that we just didn't know. Like all of a sudden it was like Star Wars. Well, there's the rebels. It's like, well, how did they come into being? Who were they? Who was back in them? Right. Who was for them? Who was, so this was
gave them a face.
It is, and they're doing a really wonderful job with it. I'm looking forward to watching. I just watched the first arc, getting ready to watch the second arc here shortly. But I really appreciate the the angst that the characters are going through.
Yeah.
And
really
so I know
smart. Great acting.
I know the lead actor said as soon as you finish watching the series, watch Rogue One and
Yes, that's what I'm doing.
and see how you feel about Rogue One now, because it will change how you feel about it. Because he said it did for me, and I'm acting in it.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I love Jedi and lightsabers and all that stuff, but I love how smart Andor is, and just well done. It's a completely different kind of story, but it's in the world of Star Wars, and I love that. It's nice to see something that's not your normal Star Wars kind of story. It's there's intrigue and espionage and all that stuff. There's darkness. There's very flawed characters or people that are going through things, and it kind of makes it more real, I think, the emotions and stuff. So it's awesome. I recommend Andor. Jesse, what does Star Wars mean to you, sir? Or earliest memories?
Star Wars is, I think, a part of my DNA as my actual blood family DNA. I was born the youngest of 5 in 79, so I missed the first one in theaters. I was told I was taken to Empire as a baby in the little seat thing. Hopefully I wasn't annoying to everyone in the theater, 6 months old, 7 months old, or I guess almost a year old at that point. I actually remember going. Star Wars was so ingrained to me. So when E.T. came out in 82, I came home from E.T. being so excited about aliens that I just started playing with all my brother's Star Wars toys. And I was 2 or 3 years old. The only spaceship we had was the Millennium Falcon. So I'm playing with that. So Star Wars immediately took over E.T. for me. And so like, it's just been a part of my life since the beginning. I mean, as much as going to church and all that stuff was. So, like a lot of you guys said, you know, that grew up with it. It's been a part of everything. And trying to think of a world without George Lucas and the guys from ILM that created all this stuff, and like guys and ladies who created all this stuff, that what would our lives be like? You know, would we be sitting on this show today without Star Wars? I mean, obviously we're talking about Star Wars specifically, but what happens to the Horsemen? What happens to toy collecting in general? Like like that was such a huge thing for toys and that era of stuff. So, you know, it's a pillar of my childhood and just my life in general. I'm in for the good, the bad, everything in between. You know, there's been tons of great stuff, tons of stinky stuff, tons of stuff that's got a lot of good stuff in it mixed with some stinky stuff. And it's just, you know, you find the parts you like and enjoy it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I agree. Well said, sir.
No.
Well said. Ed,
Also, Ahsoka,
yes.
best Star Wars character of all time.
There you go. Ahsoka is awesome. And I know you said that's not your jam. That's right on, man. You got any memories from Star Wars, or did you just shun all of it? You're like, I hate it all.
I was first introduced to it via VHS. I do like it. I did like the concept, but it just never really drawed me in. My favorite character was Chewie and R2D2. You know, Princess Leia. When I was a kid, like, yeah, she's looking good. I liked it. It was fun. It was a lot of adventure, but I was at that time I was more into sword and sorcery. Godzilla was my thing. Alien. So that's what really had my attention. I did get into Battlestar Galactica because of Star Wars. But yeah, I was more into sword and sorcery, He-Man and Dundar, and you know,
that's
Fire and
awesome
Ice.
too.
Yeah, so I don't have that really strong bond with it, unfortunately, or fortunately, who knows. But yeah,
that's right.
but
I think it's all connected, fantasy and sci-fi and Star Wars and all that stuff. It's all connected. I think anything that fuels your imagination as a kid is good. Anything that wakes you up and makes you realize, hey, there's some amazing stuff, in your mind, or, I think that's why I think a lot of us love action figures and stuff, is because, whether it was Star Wars or whether it was something else, you watch Thundar and you try to find a figure that is similar to that, and you go out and you play, or He-Man or whatever, and it's like you're reenacting, and it's it's turning your imagination on and going out there and playing and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I do have a trilogy DVD, so and I'm gonna watch that Clone Wars animated series. So I'm gonna check
great.
that out.
It's great. I think it starts a little. This is just my memory, but it seems. I don't mean to say kind of kid-like, like kind of for younger, but it ramps up. Thank you, Jesse, for confirming. It ramps up and gets dark, but it really like develops the characters so much. More than a 2-hour movie could. You really see so many facets of Obi-Wan, Anakin, Asajj, Dooku, Palpatine. They really delve into just developing all these characters and the intricacies and the political aspects and all that stuff. It's just so good.
Well, and there's also two distinct Clone Wars. Just there's the I'll call the earliest one, which was done as like 5-minute shorts by, I'm going to get his last name messed up, so I'm just going to his first name is Igor, and he kind of came to Lucas with this idea of rough animation, and George said, yeah, go for it, we'll prove you. And so he did these shorts, and that kind of introduced it, and that led to the whole Clone Wars, big stuff with Dave Filoni and all that. So I recommend watching the shorts, and I can send you the thing, Ed, to let you know. But because it's not a lot. There's action, but like the action's a little different. It's a little bit old school animation because there's not always a lot of dialogue, but it's some action. And so Igor did a phenomenal job with it. And it was like when it came out, it was like the first, outside of novels and comics, it was the first Star Wars action that came out, and it was so intense. And I was like, oh my God, this is good. And people were like, can we get more? And that's when it led to the whole thing.
Were you talking about the 2-minute clips, the Tartakovsky?
Yeah. It's like, yes, that's it. Yeah.
Those were awesome.
Cool.
Those are very cool.
Please send me that link because I would like to check that out.
Very good.
Yeah, if you're a fan of like Samurai Jack, I think it's the same animator. Same style, but it's fantastic. I like it.
I was just talking to somebody about Grievous, because I love Grievous's character, and in was it episode 2, he had that I think it was episode 2 where he had like that breathing thing, like he and you're like, what's wrong with this guy? And then they show in the clip and the animated thing, like what happened to him, like why he has that, issue. I won't spoil it, but it was just awesome. I thought that was super cool.
Sweet. Sounds good.
Tartakovsky Clone Wars was a vehicle for introducing Grievous before Revenge of the Sith. Oh yeah, for sure. I love
and
Grievous.
It introduced
I'm a fan.
That Tartakovsky Clone Wars introduced a character called Dirge.
Yes.
Who was like an assassin. I think they finally brought him in some one of the animated series, I think, recently on Disney Plus or something. He shows up. Oh no, it was the comics. It was the War of the Bounty Hunters or something like that.
Great villain.
He was creepy as shit in that cartoon. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because like he would get cut off and he would like grow back together, and I was like, "Where's this guy? Like this guy."
The way it was animated was creepy. He's right. The way it was animated was creepy, and he would like put himself. Oh no. Yeah.
Because some Jedi fights him in a cave, and he gets cut to pieces, and then like they escape, and then you just see like the little tendrils like pull, almost like the.
Now I want to watch it.
Terminator or something.
Right.
It's really cool. Yeah.
So before we
in the first couple seasons of the the CGI series, the full series of Clone Wars, the first couple seasons are definitely more childish, you know, because I saw the movie. It was like the first couple episodes, and I'm like, this isn't for me. I was 28 when it came out. I'm like, this is a kid's thing. You know, I don't have to watch this. And then when the sequels movies were getting ready to come out, I was like, I want to fuel my Star Wars passion with some more. I'll give Clone Wars another shot. And it took me into the end of season 2 or season 3. Like there was a shift in one episode. I'm like, oh, this is getting serious. Now there's definitely some of those filler episodes, but it makes you appreciate Anakin much more. And I'm going to say it, hot take, it makes you appreciate Jar Jar more. At least it did for me.
No, I'm just kidding.
They do some things where he's not just the comic relief that he was in the movie, or, you know, the guy they could pin Emperor Palpatine getting, you know, all the executive powers and all that stuff. You know, it's technically him and Padme made the Emperor. So
Freak says Cad Bane is one of my favorite characters. That was going to be my last question as we move on from Star Wars. What was you guys' favorite character in Star Wars? It could be any character from any trilogy. If you have more than one, I'm going to say Qui-Gon for me. I kind of wish that there was more to his story that they would show. Hopefully they will show more. I guess he was a disciple of Dooku, right? Like he was trained by Dooku. Yeah.
The Tales of the Jedi short series that Disney Plus did has some cool stuff with him.
And then I really loved Rey. I thought Rey, people might blast the new series, but I really enjoyed Rey. I thought it was a cool story. Where it ended up, I don't, whatever. But I just really liked her, her scrappiness and her strength. She didn't even need help getting up off the dirt. Like she's like, I don't need your help. I can get up on my own. She just had that rebellious heart that I really, I just really dug her. I thought she was super cool. So those are some of my favorites, but I love all of Star Wars. Anyways, what's everyone else's favorite characters? Mike?
Obi-Wan, without a doubt. Original trilogy. I would have to say at the time, everybody loved Han Solo. Empire came out, you loved Boba Fett. But taking it all together, putting everything together, it's hands down Obi-Wan. Ewan McGregor, I loved how he portrayed him, but it was almost like he was what a Jedi was supposed to be, even though he did have his weaknesses here and there, but that's what a Jedi was supposed to be. And he tried to move the path the way it was. Now, with the way Disney went with the Obi-Wan series, you saw his weaknesses at the beginning, his fears, his doubts, where he came back in a big way, but it's Obi-Wan.
Right.
I would definitely say for me, easily it's Boba Fett and the Mandalorians. They've got a long, complex history, and I'm kind of appreciative of the efforts that they did. Even though not all of it was spectacular, I was disappointed in the Book of Boba Fett. But I'm a huge, Boba Fett, Jango Fett, and all the other things have been phenomenal to watch. I do like Qui-Gon was one of my favorites. Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan was phenomenal. I do enjoy Obi-Wan, tremendously. And Leia, as we touched on earlier, she was take charge. I mean, Leia was take charge and do the things that I got to get done to help save the galaxy. She was part of it. She was in it. She wasn't sitting back.
Right.
And I would also say right now, mainly because it's probably a little bit of recency, but Cassian Andor, who has just been phenomenal as a character, and he's just so much more than we kind of thought of.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying Darth Maul, Cad Bane, Jar Jar, Mando, all great picks. I love Cad Bane. I think Cad Bane was such a good character. Yeah, Star Wars. I love their villains. I mean, the villains are just as awesome and amazing and interesting and faceted as the heroes. And I love that. Can you guys hear my dog snoring? She is snoring it up.
That's a trip.
Oh, there she goes. I'm like, she stopped now because I'm talking about her. But how about you, Chris?
Probably Chewbacca. Yeah, mostly because I love dogs, but probably Chewbacca, most definitely. As a kid, that was the character that just, I had the T-shirt. I don't know if you guys remember in the 70s, you used to get the iron-on. That
Yes.
T-shirt. You go to that, they print your T-shirt, they print on the iron-on, and then slowly it would peel off. And I must have like 3 of those.
I had an ET
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
And a Yoda. I had ET and Yoda.
I had Chewbacca one, and yeah, probably Chewbacca. And I would say close second would probably be Obi-Wan. I think Ewan McGregor. I think before the prequels, it would have been solid, gone a different way. But I think Ewan McGregor did such a fantastic job and has continued to do a fantastic job with the character.
Yes.
Without question.
Really embraced
I was a big fan.
that role.
Yeah. I think casting him. I remember when they casted him. I was a big fan of Danny Boyle. I don't know if you guys know his films.
Yeah,
Trainspotting.
Yep, Trainspotting.
Was such an amazing film, especially for me and my friends at that time. And to hear that he was cast as Obi-Wan was like, oh, that's fantastic. I know the actor. I've seen some of his other films. And then I think he just, like what Mike was saying, I think he just did such a phenomenal job with that character. And there's scenes in that movie that he's just being cool. There's, him and Anakin are going after that bounty hunter. And what are you going to do? I'm going to get a drink.
Right.
He's just, Obi-Wan's just a cool guy. Yeah. And that, if you read the books, the prequel books, I mean, they describe him as Mike was saying, he was like the perfect Jedi. I mean, he was a guy who was at his height at that moment. So, yeah, I'd say Obi-Wan and Chewie, but there you go.
Great choices. I want to pause for just a second and welcome. We have 2 new guests, Big Nerdy. Matt, welcome, sir. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
And Bill, everyone knows Bill. Welcome, sir.
What's up,
Morning, Matt. Morning, Bill.
Going on?
We're still talking Star Wars. This is mainly a Mythic, new to Mythics thing, but I figured the 4th we would do some Star Wars. So we've been doing Star Wars for about an hour. Right now we're kind of just going down and talking about our favorite characters before we wrap up the Star Wars. Matt, you got some time to hang out for a few?
I do. As long as as long as the phone internet connection here doesn't screw me, yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for joining. John, how about you?
Mine's always been Vader.
I'm with you, dude. Man.
I always loved like the intrigue around him. So seeing his finding out who he was basically, and then seeing him redeem himself, in the end, and then being able to go back. Yeah, and then being able to go back and see how he became Vader was great. And then also too, one of my it was a very small part, but to really see his power and his abilities at the end of Rogue One, leading up to the beginning of A New Hope. That was great. Like just to see him come onto the ship and just destroy everybody, it was great. So yeah, Vader's always been my favorite, and it's just the strength that he has is just it's great. He's always I've always loved him, so he would definitely be my favorite. I've always gotten his figures,
Me
everything.
too.
Yep.
Yeah, me too. He's an amazing character, just iconic. I remember that the storybook that I had, the front of the storybook was C-3PO and R2, and the back was Vader, of that classic picture of just him kind of open with his lightsaber on. I think the lightsaber was blue for some reason, or maybe it was red. I don't remember, but it was a really old storybook picture. But I just remember just staring at it as a kid and just in awe of the suit and the mystery of who this guy was and all that was just loved it. Loved that character for sure.
Definitely.
How about you, Jesse?
Well, I already said Ahsoka is my favorite of all of Star Wars, but Chewbacca was my first favorite back in the day. Whenever I played, I wanted to be Chewbacca, but I wanted to be a Jedi. And somehow, even as a kid, I knew that was a really weird thing. To the fact where we've only gotten one Jedi, two Jedi Wookiees in the shows and movies at this point. So I just really like that. And close third would have to be Chopper, the
Chopper, there you go.
war criminal of all war criminals. So yeah,
I do love Chopper.
Rebels Ahsoka specifically, like that era is where she stands up to Vader in the temple and everything.
Snips.
No, Rebels, the Rebels era.
Oh, okay. That was another great show too. I don't know if you guys have watched Rebels, but man, that one kind of starts a little, you just got to push through, and man, it turns into an amazing story.
It's a good one to be looking at now with Andor.
Yes.
Like it's definitely like a lot of connections there.
Dave Filoni, man, that guy, him and Favreau have really picked up Star Wars and made it something amazing and great again. Just my opinion. Ed, how about you? You got a favorite, man?
Well,
Me?
I love my Chewie, but
Everybody
when
loves
push comes to shove, it's Darth Vader. He has a mission. He's gonna complete his mission, and he had a great story. Darth always had my heart. So Darth Vader, number one.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I think Rogue One was so good in that, because I think they said that he just added it on last minute kind of thing, or it was like they didn't have it originally, but then they put that in, and man, like just seeing Vader in his prime, like really, like the how awesome and strong and how well he could move and all that was kind of implied, but in Rogue One you actually saw it in action, in my opinion. So that was awesome scene. Sweet. So yeah, I love Vader. How about you, Matt?
Hey, there we go. Hey, so may the fourth be with everybody, first of all. Secondly, so growing up, it was always like the cookie cutter Yoda and Obi-Wan. But as I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate someone else who, if you really think about it, the whole fall of the New Republic might have been avoided if he would have been given more attention to, and that's Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yes, that was my favorite. Yeah, I've got his lightsaber right here.
Nice.
Yeah. They should have listened to Qui-Gon, man. The guy knew what he's talking about.
He saw the change that needed to happen in the Jedi Order, but nobody wanted to deal with him because he was annoying, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
He didn't just go along with the accepted doctrines. He challenged everything. Yeah.
Decided to train that boy. Bill, how about you?
It probably depends on like the medium. Like if it's movies and like classic movies, Star Wars, it's Luke. Luke has always been my favorite character, and I guess if I had to pick one overall, everyone, it would probably be Luke. If I think about the comics, though, when I especially the recent stuff, like when I say recent, I mean the past 10 years. I think Vader. I think Vader in the comics has been just incredible, and like all those Vader runs have been awesome. And then if I'm thinking about books, I really love the book Darth Plagueis and Palpatine in that. Like, man, that book. It's funny because I was mentioning earlier how the Clone Wars, for a lot of people, I think the Clone Wars made the prequels like more palatable and like,
yes,
like kind of filled in, right, and made them make more sense and just be a little more enjoyable or whatever. And I was making the connection that like that's what Andor's doing for me for Rogue One, which has not really been my favorite. I love the movie, but it's like probably one of my least favorite Star Wars movies. Andor's doing that, but Plagueis was also part of that for the prequels for a lot of people. I think Darth Plagueis by James Luceno, right? Who stopped writing, I think.
He did a couple in that era, though. I think he did the one that was leading up right to the beginning of Episode 3 too, which was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He did. Yeah, he did two of those, I think, in that Dark Lord trilogy, right? Didn't he do two of those? Yeah.
Yeah, he did a
Labyrinth
couple.
of Evil, maybe.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, and then and he did some going into the sequel era, or like the Disney era, because he did Catalyst, the Rogue One book, which also kind of really helped for me with Rogue One, and he did Tarkin as well, and those both kind of weaved in elements from Darth Plagueis. But anyway, back to my original thing was that like I think like book wise, it's probably been Palpatine, but mostly because of that book Darth Plagueis, which is to me the best Star Wars book.
Absolutely. Kevin says Lucas was ahead of his time with prequels. They would have been better as a TV series. Why the Clone Wars made them better. Absolutely. Easy as a path to wisdom for those not blinded by ego. Well said, sir. I agree. We had asked before you had hopped on, Matt, what Star Wars means to you or earliest memories. Do you want to take a minute and share that with us?
Yeah, I have a bit of a weird Star Wars journey. So I didn't watch it as a child. I was born in '83. My parents had no clue anything about it. My first exposure, I was like 13 or 14 when I fell into my friend group in high school, junior high school, and we were all into wrestling, and they're like, "Hey, the new Star Wars, the remastered's hitting the theaters. Do you want to go?" And I'm like, I don't know. Isn't that weird thing my uncle watches? And I ended up going, and it was all downhill from there. That's my earliest memory, and I just kind of went crazy from there. Phantom Menace was a few years later. So it was a perfect setup for me. And then since then, it's been a huge part of my life. My oldest child, his name is Luke Anthony Skywalker, because I couldn't get away without putting the Anthony in there, but I got the Luke and the Skywalker in his name.
That's great.
That's great.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. How about you, Bill?
So I was a little young. I was born in '77, so I didn't see the original in the theater.
Great year to be born in, though.
Is that you too?
No, I said it's a great year to be born in, though.
Yeah.
77.
Oh, sorry, I was born in '76. The movie was '77.
Oh, okay.
So I was only one. I was only one.
Oh, okay.
But I got into it through figures, honestly. Like, I remember getting hand-me-down Star Wars figures before I had even seen the movie. Like, it's vague. It's pretty vague memory. Like I remember getting like a collection of Star Wars. Like some kid aged out, like my cousin or something aged out, and I got a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And through there was some point. It might have been when Empire was already out. I don't remember, but it was probably around the 80s, like around 80. At some point it was on TV. A New Hope was on TV. Maybe around the time when Empire was in the theaters. But that was the first time I saw it, and then I fell in love with that. And from there, it was just tapes. Like my dad was like a super early adopter of things, and so he had like tapes, and he was able to record from a rental and all this stuff. Like I don't know how he had it, but he had like tapes very early. And so we had those in the, early to mid 80s. We had the tapes that were like recorded tapes. And I would sit there at my dad's house and watch those and play with my figures just like nonstop.
Yeah.
And of course, like other toys came in, G.I. Joe and Transformers and stuff. But that was my introduction to it. And so I was obsessed with that until I don't know, like until like the Ewok stuff and like all that, like it kind of
Oh,
like, you know,
I forgot about that.
sort of like
Never happened.
like a
Right.
lot of people, like you just kind of shift and your interests change. And back then, Star Wars was a big deal, but like by the mid '80s, it was kind of like just another thing, right? And so it wasn't until Bear to the Empire came out that really like got me. I was a teenager. I saw the book in the store and I immediately bought it and read it, and just like I remember waiting for like the next one to come out and stuff.
So good.
Dark Force Rising, and what's the last one called?
Last Command.
The
Last
Last
Command.
Command.
Last
Last
Command.
Command, yeah.
Man, and those. So that's probably mid '90s, like though, or that would be early '90s, right? Probably
92,
91.
93, something
Yeah.
like that.
And man, those were games, like those were so important to me at the time to just like see that story continue,
Right.
you know, and like all the wondering and all the playtime as a kid, and you're always wondering, and like to have that was amazing, you know. And then getting into the later '90s, and by the time the special editions came out, I was in college, and I was going with friends to go see that in college, and yeah, just from there it kept going, you know.
Didn't you go check out the new with the re-release of Revenge of the Sith? How was that?
I didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't get to go?
No, I didn't get a chance to go. I was trying to get my daughter to go, and she wanted to see Minecraft. And then eventually my wife was like, "I'll take her to go see Minecraft." And I didn't. And I was gonna go that same day, but the timing just didn't work out. But yeah, so I didn't get to go see it again. I heard. Did anybody here go?
I didn't get to go. No.
No. I think Hayden had like an intro or something.
Oh, really?
I want to say I saw that. I was wondering if anybody went and saw it. And
No,
saw
I didn't
Hayden's
see that.
thing.
I was just thinking though, when you're talking about the toys, how you were introduced through the toys.
Pretty much,
Like,
yeah.
That was like my first, I think, movie then toy tie-in thing. Like that was a huge, you know, to go see the movie and then actually have like I had a Darth Vader and I think a Han Solo, and like to be able to like reenact, you know, or have them was like a huge thing for me to be able to, you know, play and continue those adventures. And I think that was another genius thing by Lucas, is to have all these, you know, Kenner toys lined up and you know, released for the, I don't know exactly the timeline or how far the Star Wars toys came after the movie. Did they come when the movie was out? I don't really know.
They were working on the licensing prior to the movie coming out, but Chris has got it. But they weren't going to be ready just because of the timeline. So that's when they did that early bird kit.
Yes.
And so that was the first Christmas. So you got the certificate. My parents didn't do that for us. Like we got figures when they came out later.
Mm-hmm.
But like Boba Fett here, this is my original Boba Fett that my parents got for my brothers and I.
Still a great figure too.
It is. It was some. I think it was a mail away because it came if I remember correctly, it came in a box, and my parents had it in our stocking. Like we'd gone to somebody's house for Christmas Eve, and when we came back, you know, our stockings were filled up. One parent had come out with us to the car, and while the other one went and put everything out, and I'm the only brother that still has his original Boba Fett. So, but yeah, it was in hand, and George initially wanted them to be about 5 inches, but then when they said how much it was expensive they were going to be at the time, I was like, oh, kids won't play with that. It'd be too expensive for the parents. And so they did something, and George was like, how about this? And said, oh, it's about 3 3/4. Okay, we'll do that. So that's how that kind of came about. It's probably in that book that Matt's got on his website about the making of Star Wars figures. But I know a lot of it. I saw the book and I'm like going, I already know all of it. I got so many books and seen so many specials and seen so many things. I'm just like, I know a lot of it. Like I even know back I think it was in the late 90s, early 2000s, when they were doing the Power of the Force 2 figures and all that. Somebody had gone to Kenner Studios to do a news or to do an article, and there were sculptors that were working at Kenner, and he saw one of the sculptors had a X-wing pilot helmet that was loose, and he goes, oh, you guys are going to do the helmets will come off. That's awesome. I've always wanted that. And the sculptor turned to the project manager and goes, fans always wanted removable helmets, just like I told you. So, I mean, there's little things like that in the toy industry that's funny.
That would have been great for sure. Definitely. All right. So that, I guess, will be the end of our Star Wars. That was 1 hour and 20. Thanks, guys, for sticking with that. I appreciate it. Matt, I wanted to talk to you about your journey as you have your online store. What was the idea? What was the genesis on that? Like, how did that come about? Could you tell us about that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a complete accident for the most part. Like, I was trying to get into restaurant consulting pre-COVID and do my own thing, start a business with it, me and my wife. And, we were pretty intent, like, yeah, we're going to be entrepreneurs. We just don't know what. So that was the goal. And then COVID hit, and I looked at her and said, well, restaurants are dead. So we were actually I was trying to learn YouTube for that. So I'm like, you know what? I still need to learn YouTube for whatever happens next. Let's see what ends up coming out of COVID. I'll just make some videos about toys since I don't have to do any research or anything. And, it's pretty easy to do because I know, I don't have the fake passion, any of that stuff. So the whole point was to be able to learn how to film and learn how to do filming and all of that. And it did so well. I was like, wow, this is great. And I love this. But, oh, wow, how do YouTubers live off of this money? This is never going to be a full-time job. So, like, I did all that research. And I kept coming back to everyone's like, oh, you got to do Patreon. You have to do Patreon. And my thing was, but I don't do anything special. I offer no value to people. Like, I don't show them how to do anything special with posing. I don't do dioramas. I don't do anything custom. Like, what the hell am I going to give them that is worth paying for? And my bottom line answer was nothing. So I said, okay, what else could we do? And a friend said, why don't you sell the toys? Well, that's a terrible idea. It's like, well, how do you know? I'm like, I guess I don't know. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just kind of make a business plan, see what kind of margins there are. And I started, and you couldn't get pricing on anything unless you had accounts. So opened a couple accounts, said, all right, let's see what happens. And started off with just Black Series, then moved on to Legends, and it blew up from there. Timing was really good because right around, it was really slow at first. Like, we do a couple sales a day here and there. And then we had our big flood in 2021 or 2022 that wiped out like a ton of stuff. It was pretty bad. Like, we had to work for the store out of our living room and our kitchen for a couple of months while I rebuilt the basement that we were working in. And it was terrible, but it really, like, it got us a lot of exposure, which was nice. And then when Dorkside closed, I had a lot of things to say about it because I felt a certain sort of way about the right way and the wrong way of going out of business and that type of thing. And that got me a lot of YouTube. Like, all right, I'll give this guy a try. And I think I was able to build a lot of trust with it because people were like, okay, I like what he says. He's pretty transparent. He's pretty blunt. And it just kind of grew from there. And it was one of those things where each month it got a little busier, a little busier. By 2023, both me and my wife were able to quit our jobs. By 2024, it was, wow. Now, I guess it was probably early 2024. We're like, all right, we need employees. We can't do this alone anymore. Started hiring employees, hired a full-time employee in the fall of 2024. And
awesome.
Here we are. Now we're like, okay, cool. Let's see if this keeps living with this tariff situation. Who knows?
Yeah, that was going to be one of the things I was going to bring up. Like, what's your thoughts on that? Near future predictions. What do you think is going to happen? What's your thoughts on that?
So it depends on what you think the near future is. I have been wrong a lot on this, though, so take that for what it is. After the election, people were emailing me, asking me if I'm worried, and I said, no, I'm not worried. No one is stupid enough to put a blanket tariff on a country. Like, nobody would do that. That would be a disaster. And everyone's like, I don't know, Trump's pretty stupid. And my thing was, yeah, but he's also got a gigantic ego. So as soon as it starts going bad, he'll change course. So far, I've been wrong. So that's not great. Now, the tariffs in general are going to be a problem for every industry, not just toys. Toys
Right.
are uniquely affected, though. It's not even, everyone will say, oh, what? Because it's the cheap labor. China's not the cheapest labor in the world anymore. Like China, people don't go to China for the cheap labor. They go to China for the expertise because China is experts on toys are a great example. Like they are the experts of it. No one else in the world has the ability to make them as well as they do. So that's kind of the thing. Now, what happens with, there's two questions there. What happens with China and what happens with the rest of the world? I think we'll start seeing some trade deals come out. I don't think it's going to be perfect. I don't think it's going to be as good as it was. I think we're going to see some rising costs with everything. But in the end, my hope is that everything kind of goes back to the way it was or better.
Right.
Will
That's everyone's hope.
Yeah. Will it happen? I doubt it because I don't think we're going to get back to the spot we were with China that we were before. I think China has figured out how to live without us in a lot of ways. Also, they have this advantage that they're a communist country. It can just print money at will and subject their people if things are going bad. So they can weather any storms a hell of a lot longer than we can because they don't give a crap about anything. So, yeah, that's the long and the short of it. How long do I think it's going to last? I think that we're going to see probably a drastic tariff reduction from China in the next 2 to 3 weeks, from about the 145 to about 50%. As a temporary, okay, this is our opening gambit thing. Then after that, I think we'll eventually get down to 10 or 20%, which is whatever. Now, here's the thing. For the longest time, toys have been exempt from tariffs. A lot of people don't know that. Since the 90s, toys have been exempt for tariffs because every toy association from every country came together, lobbied their governments, and that's what it got us. Even in 2018 or 19, the last time the tariffs happened, the U.S. Toy Association successfully lobbied the federal government for zero tariffs on toys. So we haven't been affected before. And that was kind of my thing going into this was like, okay, I think long term we're going to see zero tariffs on toys because if there's one thing that will bring up a public outcry, it's not being able to afford Christmas gifts.
Yes.
So I think that eventually that's what's going to end up happening is we're going to see that. But I think it's going to take a while. And we're going to see a lot of companies that we know and have done business with and love go out of business in the next like 90 to 180 days.
I hate to even think about that.
Me too.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, it really is. Like, I know some that I have, like, I'm pretty sure the ones who are bringing in stuff themselves are in the most trouble. So, like, I don't bring much in from China myself. There's certain things I bring in. Like, I bring in all of the imports, obviously, but I don't bring in any Hasbro, McFarlane, any of that stuff. So I haven't been hit hard by tariffs yet. I've paid like a couple $1,000s, nothing crazy. Other companies are like, the ones, the EEs of the world, they bring everything in themselves. So they don't have anyone to split these tariffs with. Because a lot of companies are pulling like NECA, I think, made it public so I can say it. They went with like an 8% tariff surcharge on us and said, okay, we're going to split part of it and eat it. You're going to eat part of it. The goal is to not pass it along to the customers.
Right.
They have, like, the companies that are bringing stuff in themselves, they don't have that option. They're buying it directly from the factory. They get a lower rate on it. That's why they do it. But now that these tariffs are there, they're losing money on every sale. That's why you see the weird price fluctuations, and it's rough. Now, a lot of companies, if the companies that are under or over leveraged, the ones who don't have enough cash on hand, they're the ones that are going to really, really make it or struggle to make it. The ones who are not more fiscally conservative with their money, they're going to be the ones who struggle. So it's going to be a sad time. It's going to be really rough. add on to it, I don't know how much of this you guys know about, but the second biggest distributor of everything, Diamond Distribution, is a disaster. They just went bankrupt. It was bought by Ad Hominem, which is or Ad something, Ad Populum. It's the parent company in NECA. That happened on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
They own a couple of companies too. They just bought Party City, that was in bankruptcy.
Oh, interesting.
They own an AmpScan, which is Party Supplies, which is actually something I deal with in my regular job. They also own Ruby's Costumes, and there's like a bunch of things that the parent company owns. They buy kind of
they
things.
own WizKids,
Yes.
because there's a lot of things that NECA bought that they in fact now own, like Anesco, WizKids, Kid
Yes.
Robot.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, there's a lot. So it's a dynamic shift. Like right now, it's really product. I guess logistics right now is really tough because one, a lot of companies, and they're smart to do this, are just letting stuff sit in China for the moment, which I don't have anything yet, but like the Joy Toy Turtles, I import those. As soon as I get notification that the next wave is ready, I'm going to pay to have them warehoused in China until this stuff settles down, because I'm not, like, that's insanity. I'm not going to play that game. Some companies are just, Hasbro's probably shockingly handling it the best. Everyone's going to have a price increase. I can't say exactly what it is, and I can't say too many specifics on it, but I can say that some of the bigger companies, Hasbro as an example, is doing everything they can to blunt that, not just for the end user, but also for their partners. Hasbro's taken a beating because their retailers that do direct importing, Target, Walmart, are already denying things and saying, yeah, we don't want this anymore over in China. So we're going to see a lot of exclusives not happen. In fact, my hope is that it ends up, if you guys remember during COVID, everyone was like, how is he doing this? I kept getting all the exclusive figures before Target and Walmart.
Yep.
And the answer was always really simple. Everyone thought I had like some backdoor deal with some random person. I literally just had a Hasbro account, and every time Target or Walmart denied something, I would just go in and then be like, oh, sweet. It just showed up. I would go and buy it all. It showed up on Hasbro's wholesale. I'm like, all right, sweet. Yeah, I'll take 500 of these ARC Troopers that nobody has. It was great. I missed that.
I know, and Matt, thanks to you, I got like a lot of these exclusives which I would sold out or I never could get online. So that's how I got to start buying from Nerdzoic and get familiar with you and watching your podcast and learning about your flooded basement and stuff like that. I was like, oh my god, it's horrible. And, people were buying. You had like some water damage cards, and we were buying it up from you guys because of discounts to help you out. And but it's been fun, and you're in Pennsylvania, so you're like a 2-day ship for me. It's like I told somebody, it's
nice.
Like, you order from Matt down to come down here to Virginia. It's like it's 2 days. Like he sometimes is shipping that day, and it's arriving 2 days later. So you're in good shape. So, but we appreciate it, and I think you're right. Like I buy from some of the biggest corporations for some of my my things at my day job, and one of the largest manufacturers in the world, whose products are probably in everybody's garage or toolbox or whatever. I got their increases like 2 weeks ago, and it ranges from it ranges from about 10 to 20%. They're like you said, they're trying to do what they can to help offset it. They're even working with partners overseas to see what they can get, because the factories don't want to lose business, because they lose the business. Guess what happens? They can't pay their workers, and their workers got to go find something else. While China is not as much into the United States as it has been in the past, there's still quite a bit. There's quite a bit of technology. There's been a couple of the really good companies that have shown us behind the scenes, like Creative Beast Studios with their dinosaurs, and Savage Crucible, which have shown videos and pictures of how actually manufacturing goes on and explaining. Or Chris came on New to Mythics that Schmerber had him on, and was explaining how tooling works and how this works and all that. And I know Bill from Dorkler knows a lot from working with Four Horsemen on stuff, and so he's familiar with it. And that's why we get so many cool accessories from some of these smaller companies, because they're trying to offset that tooling cost, and they can put multiple things on there. So these folks over in China have the ability to do incredible things that nobody else in the world can. And they're working on, I believe it's like next generation stuff too. And I forget the term of it, but like they showed this one figure that's supposed to be coming out that was like, it's a couple $100 right now, but it's a new way of doing figures that had never been done before. And they're working on the machinery so that they can get it, so that eventually it will be on a Hasbro or a Mattel or a whatever figure, but it's probably going to be first on some of the high-end imports, and then come down to the Four Horsemen of the world, and then later on. But it's a really tough situation, and we hope that it kind of gets resolved. It's something that I get emails with every day. Christmas could be interesting because of the timing of the shipments of everything.
Yeah. It's going to be ugly. I mean, we're already at a point now where I think that Halloween, I don't even know if like the Halloween stores are going to be able to open like this year. Like they might just literally say, Mulligan, we're taking the year off.
You'll get Hershey and that's it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good year for homemade stuff.
Yeah.
I think this year also could be a great year for vintage, or back in the day, I had a friend of mine who runs a very successful comic book store that also puts on Baltimore Comic Con, and he's always been into golden and silver age comics, because he says, what happens when the comic industry has a downturn? I'm still selling golden and silver age comics every day. And
well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and just, people, and I know, Matt, you're looking into buying collections and starting to sell some older stuff. I think that is going to be kind of the only way to survive for some of these companies, is you're going to have to move your current stock if you have it. Right here in the United States, if you're going to take weight, do what you're talking about, store it in China, pay the storage fees, and then when everything comes out, then it'll be fine. But I think you're going to see, a lot of empty shelves at Target and Walmart, which, okay. But there are other stores, there are collectible toy stores that are going to be able to weather the storm. Yep. People that have inventory, that have bought in stuff. I bring in stationery for back to school. All my stuff shipped prior to Chinese New Year to come into the States, because I had to have it, because I've got some stores that are overseas. But there's a lot of people that don't, and they're going to be sticker shock when you go to buy stuff, because while there is stuff made here in the United States, no doubt, there's a lot that's from overseas. So, but I think there's going to be, the smart people are going to survive.
Yeah.
Doing what they can.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I mean, the collection buying thing has been, I'm still kind of figuring out the logistics, but it's been going so well that I'm like, crap, it's nice, because it's like, wow, I've always been really concerned. My biggest concern has been direct to consumer. And like, okay, with McFarlane's basically been like, yeah, we don't need anybody anymore. That's why you don't even see their stuff on Amazon half the time. But that's been my biggest concern. But now I'm like, oh, wow, I don't really need to be concerned. I can just buy collections. Now, the hard part is, and has been, the logistics of it. The pricing, everything's been pretty good. I should be able to offer stuff below market even. Nobody buys loose figures on the internet, like aside from eBay. So I've been buying a lot of loose collections. And then I'm repackaging them, making sure they have the accessories, labeling them, testing the joints, and then I'll sell them. But the process of doing that and staying organized, because I'm giving each one a unique SKU, if they don't have it's going to be very interesting, because there's already 6,000 products live on the website. So you add in all of these. I don't want to mix listings. Like if I happen to have I bought a bunch of X-Men 97 carded figures the other day. I don't want to throw them on the regular store listings, because that would be, for those, it's not as bad because you can tell if they're tampered with, but I want to make it really clear these aren't factory direct. I bought a collection.
Right.
So they're going to get some kind of a sticker on it or something that just says pre-owned or, previously loved, something like that. But that's the hard part of this. But yeah, it's a scary time. Like, we were looking at real estate for the business And I'm like, I told our realtor, I'm like, let's just not do anything for 2 or 3 weeks and see what happens, because I don't know what the hell's going on.
Right.
I still might do this, even if with this craziness, just because of the pricing. But I looked at a church last week, a 7,000 square foot church that would allow us to put the entire warehouse in the basement of the church, put a retail store on the top floor of the church, and it would be less than renting a small, like almost like a kiosk in the mall. It's crazy.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. You know, you got to grow, but you also need to be smart in these times for sure.
And that's why we work out of our house still. We have 4 different storage units. Every day I print a report that says what I need to pick. Almost, I'd say 3/4 of our product is in storage units. We just do all the shipping and receiving here. So I have to go pick everything at a storage unit and bring it back. That's why we used to do 2 p.m. Anything that came in before 2 p.m. ships out same day. But we had to push it back to 10 a.m. because of the time of going back to that storage unit every day and stuff.
Right. Welcome, Brett Stoddard. Thanks for hopping in. Good morning.
Good morning.
Move on.
I overslept.
No, that's okay. You're allowed that privilege, sir.
Nerdzoa, PA represent.
Yeah. How you doing? What part of PA you in?
Over Reading area. So
okay,
not too far from you and Jesse.
No.
I wanted to hear your thoughts, Brett, on all this and what you think. Your forecast. What's your thoughts?
Matt hit it on the head a lot. A lot of companies are doing ship in place and not actually sending the stuff. They're warehousing it. My job is global supply chain, but manufacturing, not retail. So while a lot of the things that affect them don't affect me, a lot of the things that affect me don't affect them. But I'm doing the same thing. I'm monitoring. I'm doing the tariff offsetting every day. Anytime a news or a supplier comes in with new information, or we're trying to get something across the border, and I have to go down to where was the ore smelter.
Yeah.
So it can be a pretty big pain in the ass right now, and they hit on it too. It's constantly evolving. It's changing. Nobody really knows what the F is going on, or when it's going to subside, or if it's going to subside, or it's just a giant, as we say, fustercluck.
Yeah.
And I think this week is where we see a major break, though, because the de minimis law went into effect 2 days ago. So it used to be anything under $800 wasn't subject to customs. So now, all of a sudden, customs is going to have to start checking 5-10 times more stuff than they used to.
Right.
And that's all the personal little stuff. So it's not like a big thing where they can do it all at once. Oh, it's here, a little there, a little here, a little there. How are they going to collect it? Are they going to send us a bill at the end of the day? Are they going to, postman's going to ring and say COD?
Yeah, it's going to be disastrous.
Yeah, there's no infrastructure. And
Sure.
in classic form, our government jumped before they looked.
Yeah,
And,
shoot that aim.
Yeah, it's shoot, ready, aim.
Yeah.
Isn't that what happened in like February or something like that,
Yes.
where
Yep.
they did it and then they aborted mission because they just didn't have the logistics? It's like
They
what
couldn't
have
collect the
done
fees.
what have they done to like
Nothing.
fix that? Anything?
The irony of it is, if you are going to argue tariffs for domestic production, this is the rule you want to fix because of the Temus and the Sheins going in, making cheap crap and undercutting everybody. This is the part that would be like, okay, that's the only thing that makes sense. The rest of it doesn't. But no, they did not do anything. I imagine, so like I've heard rumors that UPS and FedEx are just going to stop taking small packages until this is over and just say, yeah, we're not doing this. I think DHL already did that.
DHL already did that.
Yeah. The USPS, they don't even do it. Like, I've been having some stuff shipped over here and there from other countries, USPS, and I don't think they have the infrastructure to do it because they're just like, it says China? Are you sure? Oh, no, that says America, and it just comes through. And I haven't been getting any bills. So I think that USPS at this point has just been being like, it's not our problem. So we're about to see some interesting times.
And there's also something that doesn't necessarily pertain to toys. And Brett, maybe you could speak more to it because of what you're working on. But I know years ago, my father had bought first catering business, bought a Mercedes Sprinter van. And the way that Mercedes shipped it over here to the United States, it came in basically 3 parts and was assembled at a factory in Georgia. And so it was U.S. assembly of imported parts. And so it had a lower tariff. Now, again, I don't think that's ever something that can be done with toys. Like I was thinking the other day, I'm like, well, the Armory experience was kind of like that because it was parts. It wasn't actually a toy. The toy, like as Matt mentioned earlier, toys generally have had zero tariff. But I don't know if there's things like that or if anything is affected like that. Like I don't know how that's going to run with craziness.
I think Kenner used to do that in the 70s, like have it all made in China and then bring it over here so they could slap a "Made in America" label on it. They probably just packaged it here or something because somebody was. One of the videos I put out about tariffs, there's always like "oh, you just don't like America" comments, or "oh, you just want slave labor" comments. Like Kenner used to do it. They could make them in America for the same price. They just don't want to. Like, there's always this stupid comments. But that's how I actually was like, oh, interesting. Kenner made it in America. I had to go look it up, and I found that out.
So we're bringing in, big parts and from all over the world, but all of our final assembly is done at the plant here in Pennsylvania. So, but it's my parts that are subject to the tariffs anyway. So even if I was bringing in three pieces of a truck to put it together, I'd still be paying the tariffs on it, depending on where it comes from.
That's the irony.
Yep. And part of the reason Mac put in a plant down in Mexico was to service North America with more volume. And now with parts going back and forth from Mexico, which used to be free, we're getting crap ton of yes. So it's just interesting.
Well, hopefully we get relief on that.
Yep.
So Matt, is there what are some big sellers that you found so far in your that people are really picking up or ordering the most of?
You mean lately or just in general for the store?
In general.
So it's interesting. There's a direct correlation between my YouTube video views and what sells the most. So like Transformers is the worst seller I have because my views are like, I think people can tell when I make Transformer videos that I'm just like, hey, cool, here's Transformers. It's not something that I'm super passionate about. Mm-hmm. Whereas like anything Marvel or Turtles, if I do anything with a video about it, like I'm like nerding out. And I think people are like, oh yeah, I'm a nerd for this stuff too. I'll buy from him. So Marvel's always number one. Mm-hmm. We do really well. I mean, this is a 4 Horsemen Mythics podcast. We kill it with Mythics. We absolutely kill it with them. I have to schedule extra people and plan around releases, like very specifically. Like there's no, I always tell my wife, I'm like, all right, this is the week. It's a Mythic week. And she knows that means like we're getting takeout every night. It's going to be a busy week. Yep.
I volunteer to come help.
Hey, you're not far. I'll bring you over.
We'll work for Mythics.
Let me know.
Absolutely. Well, talking about releases, we did get this beautiful, amazing Ganesha figure. Man, wow. Who picked this up? Here.
I got mine yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's a solid piece. Like it is just and stacked with so much good stuff.
Oh my God, so much stuff they had to double the size of the box.
And Bill, great review on you as always.
Yes.
Love your Figura reviews because, like as you've mentioned, you don't know what it is ahead of time because by the time we see your review, we've seen it, and it was fun because like you were getting ready to open the box and you were kind of like doing your, I wonder if it could be this or that, and then when you opened up, you had this surprise and you're like, oh wow, look, great, this looks fantastic.
Yeah, this was one. I've said this a bunch of times. I don't get that Friday teaser. So, like, I think some people see my prediction and they think, oh, well, how could you not guess it's Ganesha when they said, obstacle remover or whatever. But I have none of that, right? So it's just a complete, and then obviously, like, in the fall and the winter, it's a little easier to try to predict. And you're a little less surprised because it's
thematically.
It's going to be a horror figure or it's going to be a Christmas or whatever. But the springtime is an absolute wild card, and that one was just like I did not see that coming at all.
Figura drops are for me at least is very much a fire ready aim. It goes live at 9.
Yeah.
Don't care what it is, buy it. Ready, go back and look at the pictures. Aim, go watch Bill's video as I've already placed my orders. Well, last year at Shop the Curiosity, you know, I'm talking to Bill in the line at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we were talking about the teaser from the day before, and you know, Bill's just stone cold faced, you know, and everybody's guessing, everybody's wondering, and then 9 o'clock comes out, and the people in the line walking into Shop the Curiosity are buying it, and Bill's giggling because he already knows everything about it, and then we go back and look what we bought.
That was fun. It's funny because I gave something away. It was only like 5 minutes before, but I was there's something about the price and the fact that it was 2 figures. Like I feel like
you said 2 pens.
Or yeah, something like that. In
it was
line,
2 pens, and I'm like, wait a minute.
I didn't even catch that.
Well, we were in person. We were in line at at Shop the Curiosity where they were dropping the figure right, you know, like minutes later. And then I had them in my pocket. So as soon as it dropped, I was like, here you go, check it out.
After we'd already bought them and we were walking in line, because that's how we did it, you know.
Yep.
It goes up, you immediately buy it because you don't care.
Yeah, this figure obscura was amazing. I love it. But I love the respect too that they researched it and they showed it to people in the community respectfully and you know, got feedback and all that. I think that was the right move for that, you know, because it's a god basically that people worship, so you know, you have to be sensitive of that. And
this was hands down one of the most collectively positive responses to a figure, at least from my perspective in the comments of my video. Like there was such a high percentage. There was so few people who were like, no, this one's a miss or meh, or you know what I mean? There was so few of those.
Yes.
The response was incredible for this figure.
There wasn't really even that many. I don't know who it is. It's not for me either.
Right. Yeah.
It is a beautiful figure. That's what I was smelling earlier in the morning. I was like,
I thought that's what it was.
He's really, really odoriferous in a good way.
Yeah,
I don't mind. It's
that factory lead paint.
Yeah,
wonderful.
I love to smell toys. I've been cracking open figures over here, just celebrating May the 4th. I've been cracking open some stuff.
There you go.
Love that.
It was warm out yesterday, and I had all my fodder in my car. My car had the whole car smell.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
No,
nice.
I'll tell you the other thing too that we've really enjoyed. I know Jeremy has kind of touched base on this on a couple times. Like when you guys are at shows and you know, he said figure is the easiest one to kind of get in new people's hands because it's either you don't have to know anything about that, or it's like the gods of Egypt, or it's been the Headless Horseman, or you know, Jacob Marley, or Ghosts of Christmas Past. And I'm really excited too that, you know, last year they did the retailer wave, and Matt, you guys had those, and the new ones coming out later on this year. So people already kind of speculating what will be Ganesha next year. You know, what color are you going to do?
Pink.
You know, what could it be?
Pink elephants. Well, no, there are a lot of depictions of Ganesh as pink. You know, there's multiple colors, but I think pink would be just a little nod to other things in I don't know what the word I mean, the zeitgeist of it all, and with also accurate portrayals of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, that would be my guess.
I'm just wondering what they're going to use that body for, and you know, in the future.
Well,
Go ahead.
He's supposed to be a human that someone just put an elephant head on in the story, if I remember correctly. So, like, it could just be like a flesh tone, human skin tone.
Yeah, could be.
That'd be interesting for sure.
It could also be gray again with different colored cloth goods, and like
Yep.
they've been known to like with the
True.
Monkey King, for example, like not stray too far, so that
Right.
like especially the international community gets a pretty close version of what it was if they missed out or whatever,
Mm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it's very similar, just a little, just like a little bit of like a color change, a shift somewhere, but not like maybe the entire thing.
There you go. Bill's prediction.
There you go.
I can predict one more thing.
Oh, what's that?
Whatever it is, I'm buying it.
Right. I'm right behind you.
There you go. Me too.
I'll
Yeah,
also
it was-
say this: I think I forget if it was Jeremy and Eric. I forget what it was, but they did mention, like why they didn't include plugs to give it just a two-arm look, and the idea was they didn't want the product they were giving or providing to have an option to not be Ganesha right out of the box. Essentially, they wanted to be as respectful as possible, and maybe they're being a little too careful with that, but like they wanted to make sure that it wasn't like, oh, take this figure and then turn it into a human kind of thing.
Right.
So, but when they said that, they said, but that doesn't mean we're not going to have have it with the body with the plugs, like,
Later.
or even just, a second mold, a second mold of that same one where those are filled in and maybe there's just your regular shoulder holes there.
In tooling, it's much easier to fill a hole than
Right.
it is to make a protrusion,
Yep.
because you grind away instead of having to add material.
Yep.
So, Bill, on your review, you were talking about the waist piece, the chest part. Would you do anything differently on the construction of that? Because you know how like the belt and all that, it kind of hides some things. Was there anything that you would change on that?
I was thinking they might have been able to raise the peg up just ever so slightly, the way they did with the Knights, where the Knights with the cloth goods on the Necronominus wave, it's up a little higher, and when you take the cloth goods off, it falls back down a little bit. I was thinking there might have been a little room there where they could have raised that peg up a little bit higher just to give it a little more clearance to make contact with it. But overall, it's not really much of a problem. I mentioned it in the video, and people made a big deal out of me mentioning that, like in some of the posts. It was just, I really mentioned it just because I know that some people out there want solid figures that, don't really come apart. And if you're messing around with it, it's very easy to pop apart. It doesn't mean it's just going to fall apart without
Right.
touching it or something. It's not loose. It's just a lighter connection.
And that's
Yeah.
the case of you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, Bill. You went out there and leaned forward on, hey, it may do this, and then people lashed onto that. Where if you had said nothing and then one person's had done it, the whole community would have.
And people were like
Right.
framing it as like, like, wow, look at how frustrated he is in his video. This is unacceptable, or like comments like that. And they, like I said, they were few and far between. But like there were a few that were kind of like that, where it was kind of like it was almost like misrepresenting the frustrations I was having.
Yeah. No, I always appreciate your honesty. Even if we love this, studio, we want to be honest. It's like you don't have to love everything. You can have opinions on the construction of the boot or 2.0's feet. They don't stand up that well, or what. It's okay to have an opinion on that. And I don't think that people should hinge a decision to buy or not to buy just on one video, even if it's as amazing as yours and great as yours. I will still look at other people or ask, what do you think, or just buy it outright, and but I always appreciate your honesty and integrity in those videos.
I think the people who the people who, like, for example, will call me a shill.
I almost did.
I hate that.
almost did.
I think,
I hate that word.
well, yeah, because that word means scammer. Like
Yeah.
and I think for some people it doesn't quite mean that, but like you're accusing someone of dishonesty if you call them a shill, right? But anyway, so I think I think those people, they should just watch the video with the sound off. like just get a look at
Right.
a look at the thing or whatever, because like there's some people who just will not be happy unless you are actively taking their opinion and embodying it and being in like having the same opinion as them, like outright,
Right.
like people who want to be outraged about something and they see somebody who's not outraged about it and they say that person's a shill, how dare they not be the same level of outraged as I am, kind of thing.
Right. And if you love it too much, then you're biased because you're friends with the studio. It's like
We had a
I
good
don't know.
discussion on that in the Discord, Bill.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. So, Matt, you don't run into that at all, do you?
Never, ever, ever. I had one guy, a prominent toy YouTuber with over 100,000 subscribers, say in a group that I was untrustworthy because I was on the inside and questioned whether I rigged the numbers on the Nerdy Awards.
Wow.
And I'm just like, guys, first off, no, I don't have that kind of time. Second off, it's a freaking like spoof show anyway. But like, what do you think I'm doing here? Like, now people they drive me nuts with that stuff.
By the way, if
I'm so envious of these people. They have so much more time than I do. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, if anybody's wondering
So much more time
about the Four Horsemen winner in the Nerdy Awards, it was Frankenstein's creature. I can make that announcement here and
He
now.
can. My bad.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, so I forgot. Well, first off, I didn't actually watch the Nerdy Awards this year until it was live. That's how crazy my life was. I had the editor and my guy I work with who lives in Lancaster do everything. I'm like, contact everybody, do everything. I'll film my part. Oh, he's like, all right, cool. So I filmed my part. I watched my part, and I'm like, just put everybody's videos in. Make it happen. And then, like, we just found things as time went on. Like, there's that. And then I'm like, hey, we spelled half the words wrong. There's just so many things. Like, it's like, oh man, this is like the quality control was poor. Not our best effort.
It was a Friday afternoon run.
Oh, that whole process takes so damn long.
Oh yeah.
And I was just done with it. I'm like, no, I just want to post it. It's freaking February already.
You're relying on so many other people to do a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because then it's like you can't even really start to put it together until all that stuff is in, right? Like, so.
Generally, I used to wait to film until I had everybody's videos so that I could like do any plays on anything they said and whatnot. Now I'm just like, nah, let's just hope it works. Don't got time.
Ed, what do you think so far?
Huh?
Ed,
you playing with?
Yeah, I'm loving this
He's
sucker.
playing with his trunk.
Yeah. Yeah, he's freaking awesome. He is awesome. Looks great.
The shill thing is pretty crazy there, Wholesome Warlock. You're not
Yeah, that's
wrong.
nuts.
If you like something, you're a shill. If you don't like something, you're a hater. There is no in between whatsoever. And honestly, I think Bill knows this, doing YouTube a while. The key to growing on YouTube is to be controversial and complain about things.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, your growth will slow completely.
That's why I'm so small. That people are like, how have you just now passed 10,000 subscribers? It's like, I don't do like, first of all, I haven't been
No
on
rage
videos
videos.
as long as some of these other guys, right? Like Toy Bro and DMA. Those guys have been around longer, but yeah, I don't do like those kinds of I don't do outrage.
I
I
don't
want to
watch
see a
those.
whole section of Bill Rage videos.
Yeah, I don't watch those. To be negative just to get attention, it doesn't interest me at all. you know?
Yeah.
No, especially when they're about each other. Like I love some of the inner toy YouTuber drama that goes on.
Right.
That drama
That's
gets lots of views.
it
Absolutely.
does. It's gotten so many views to the point where I'm like, man, should I stage something? This is like crazy. I could like since I'll probably never do it, I'll say it now. But I was saying to my buddy the other day, I'm like, you know what I need? I need another YouTuber who can at least act semi well, and we can have like a gigantic feud that ends
There
with
you
us
go.
meeting at a convention, and then at the convention we'll do like the old WCW finger poke of doom. To fall, and then be like, you bunch of marks, you fell for it. You guys
Right.
all just want to see rage. I'm like, that would go so well. That'd be so much fun to do.
That would be awesome.
Oh, man.
Matt, do you have time to collect on your own, or is it just?
I mean, I'm literally have my phone propped on a bunch of wrestling figures. I'm using this time currently to open my Sir Gideon. I'm like, hey, I never opened him. So I'm going to play
Beautiful.
with him for a few minutes. Maybe
First
I'll
thoughts?
open his horse here.
What
It's
are your
fantastic. The sword, the shield that you don't really see in the packaging. So it's always interesting because I've seen this a million times but never open. So like seeing the stuff that's hidden in the packaging is always fun for me. But to answer your question, do I have time to collect? Not really. I've actually also like I got what I need for the most part.
Mhm.
I used to just be a mint on card collector. So having the toys here for a while is like collecting them for me, for one. And
Right.
two, now that I'm doing collections and loose stuff, I'm getting to play with this stuff, pose it, put it in a baggie, and then be like, all right, cool, off to the next home. And you're going to make me money, not cost me money.
Yeah.
And
There you
frankly,
go.
like, you know, the things that you do, when it's your job and not your hobby anymore, it's not as fun.
kind of loses something.
It does.
Yeah.
So like I've gotten more back into like sports cards for the hobby end and collecting them. But ironically, that's going to be ruined soon because I'm trying to launch something with that because they're printed in America, baby.
There you
So
go. There you
I've been
go.
buying Pokemon like crazy. I've been buying all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah, that's an industry into itself for sure.
Oh, that industry is nuts.
It used to have so much drama in the early 1990s when I was working for retailers too. We didn't do sports cards. We did all the Marvel and DC cards that were coming out. But there was a thing with some highly collectible cards, limited edition, that people from Skybox went in the middle of the night to run the presses to run off a whole bunch of sheets to be able to sell. And it got out and it was like a nightmare. But
Oh, it's a totally different world now. I don't know if anyone's heard of card breaking, but that's the game now where you buy a case of cards and then you go on like Whatnot or Fanatics Live and you sell everybody a team. So then you open it live on camera and you mail everybody the team, whatever came up that they got, they get. And they do it for everything now. Like I'm watching, because I'm going to start doing it as soon as I can figure out how to fit it into the schedule. But I'm watching. They do it for everything. Like now they're doing it for like Marvel cards, Star Wars cards. So like, pay $30 if the Han Solo hits, you get it.
wow.
If it doesn't, you get nothing.
You get nothing, sir. Yep. Question about Sir Gideon. I was trying to put the scabbard. Does it fit in the belt loop? Because I didn't want to force it, but it didn't seem to fit very well.
Yes.
You got to be careful, though.
Okay.
Hey, little guest star.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
So
Wave hi.
What's his name?
Liam.
Hey, Liam.
Hi, Liam.
Hi. Say hi.
Good to see you.
You wave to the camera.
I love it. I love it. Any more thoughts on Ganesha before we move on? Great figure.
I love the ears.
It's amazing.
I love that the ears are articulated and you can get it into some different looks just by moving the ears back and forth, you know?
Yeah.
Another one of those didn't need to do it. They did it, and it's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nobody would have said a word if those were static ears.
Right. The details on the sculpting of the head, and if you embiggen Ed for a second, and he can show profile.
Do I have to?
Just a second. But those details, the wrinkles,
Yes.
you know, we talked about the Eric sculpting the the scales of the dragon, but you look at this elephant. I mean, it's just so gorgeous. I mean, I've seen elephants recently at the zoo and at the wilds, and it's so amazing. I mean, I'm blown away.
Liam wants one.
He does. He's got one.
There you go.
Yeah,
awesome,
the detail, the texture, like Bill was saying in his review, the texture of the skin. Before I even bought it, I was just like, "Whoa,
beautiful!"
Like just the thoughtfulness of that, is amazing. But that head sculpt is just top tier,
freaking awesome,
next level.
Now, when are we getting a skeleton version?
Right.
I saw Joe Gonzalez had his collection where he showed off the Seventh Kingdom elephants, and I'm just so envious of those. I can't afford them, but I'm like, I would love to have Ganesha with all those Seventh Kingdom ones.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that they'll do like another elephant figure down the line, or would that be disrespectful, or what do you guys think on that?
Okay.
I'm still waiting on my rideable war elephant, Lord of the Rings style.
That would be sweet.
Oh my
That'd
god!
be awesome.
Curtis's version of the Ollie
Yeah,
that's what I was just thinking of.
Curtis had a huge one.
Wow.
Yeah, I would love a warrior
Did somebody buy
elephant.
that?
Yes, somebody did.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool
that
to
seems
have
like
a warrior.
something Dub would buy.
I think it was dubbed because it's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I would love to see elephant warriors. I just don't know now that they did Ganesha. Would they do that again? Would they use that head again?
You have the tooling. I think for sure they would have to reuse it, or they would want to reuse it. I don't think that would be disrespectful to that figure per se, because new figure, if they make a new figure out of it, would it be Ganesha?
It wouldn't have the tattoos. It wouldn't have the jewelry. It wouldn't have, the soft goods like that are distinctly that style. The head sculpt, you just repaint it. Don't give it the helmet. You could give it a different helmet. You could give it, but I could see as they're expanding the world, no longer the continent, but the world of Mythos, that something from the southern area could be, elephant warriors. We've got bipedal snake warriors. Why not a bipedal elephant warrier?
That's my thought. Yeah.
I think
Could they make it like a woolly mammoth style, looking hairy?
Maybe.
They're magicians with paint, that's for sure.
I think that head
Or fit into cosmic somehow.
could fit on an ogre scale body.
I agree.
Look good. I mean, obviously you'd have to deal with the peg, depend on the neck peg, because the regular ogre, it's static on the figure. But I think that would look really good. Size wise, it's big enough to be on that side.
I can tell you right now. Hold on, I got an ogre next to me here.
Do it, buddy. I guess I got to embiggen you again. Here we go. Still got them tired eyes though.
Yeah.
It's not gonna
Yeah,
fit
you
on
got to
there,
open up the hole. You got to open up the hole for it to
Just
screw
hold
right.
it.
show it. Just kind of show it there.
Turn it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so
That's perfect scale.
I think
Size-wise,
I
yes.
think that would be sick. Honestly, if they did an ogre body with like a the neck
you're
peg
right,
is
Bill,
removable like this one, and then you could just have a custom neck peg that's
Yeah.
made
They could
specifically for
do
that.
bigger ears too, maybe.
Lower down, slightly lower down.
And they could do,
Yeah, that would be sweet, man.
It would, yeah.
We need
Good
more
idea,
ogres.
Bill. Yeah.
Good idea, Bill. Maybe
Good idea.
maybe one of the talented customizers like Arturus might be thinking about doing one of those. He bought 5 of them.
Oh yeah.
Well, he's doing that whole series of the Indian figures.
Yes. Yeah,
I bet he was just over the moon.
he
You
was.
know, not only that he's doing the Indian type figures, but he's also a Buddhist himself.
Yep.
Okay.
And it was almost he showed me or he posted I think yesterday or day before. It was almost a year to the day that he finished his custom for somebody, and it was a gorgeous custom, very gorgeous custom. So he is very excited about it.
You're talented, very talented.
Who is this guy again?
Arturus Zoran.
Okay.
Great customizer.
Amazing painter.
Yeah.
And just one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet.
And like
Super
prolific,
nice
like
guy.
I don't like his output is pretty amazing. The
Yeah.
amount of
Yes.
you know, it's like he must be doing it not like must be all he does in his hobby time, like just spending all that time doing it. It's so much.
Somebody was telling me he went over to one of the factories in Asia and was learning techniques from there.
Oh, interesting.
Oh wow.
Yeah, his stuff is incredible. It's incredible when you see it, the detail in the faces. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, he and Mark Calvo are just amazing when it comes to those small details on the faces, on the helmets, on the everything. You just look at it, it's just unbelievable. So yeah, he's in the back of the room at Legion's Con.
Mhm.
And one of my friends told me from Virginia, he said when I went to Legion's Con, he says, you got to go see him first because otherwise you won't be able to buy anything. You know, it'll all be sold out or something.
Okay.
So
Yeah, there's some people like that. Eric
Gotcha.
Miller's one where you
Yeah,
know,
Eric.
if you don't like Arthas, Eric, some of the others, like if you don't make their table your first stop, you're gonna miss most of their stuff.
Yeah, I hear you.
I see Thomas Belay like rushing to Eric's
On his
table.
little shoes with
Wheelies,
wheels.
I remember it.
Zoom right at Ishkan.
Like, I was like walking over and I just see him go shoo.
Next thing you know, you
Right
see
over
this little
there.
French guy on wheels. Zoom.
Love it. I love it. That enthusiasm is awesome.
So, fellas, I have to go. I'm gonna go take a shower and like wake up because I'm still like out of it, and
No
and I
problem,
gotta
man.
go take care of stuff.
Appreciate
All right,
you, man.
No,
thank
So
you for
good
having
to
me.
see you,
Nice
It's
seeing
been a
you
pleasure.
yesterday, Ed.
Yes, man. It was great spending time with you all.
See you later.
do you have a show today? Do you guys have a show, Ed?
Yes, we have our show today at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So log on for some fun times, for some games,
Latin
and
Legions,
etc.
check it out.
Yeah,
Latin Legions.
Latin Legions. That's right. And hopefully, I won't have my puffy eyes by then. So,
All right, man.
all right,
Put some
guys. Peace out.
numbers on there or something, man.
Yes,
Take care,
sir. All right,
See you,
take
buddy.
care. Bye bye.
See ya.
So next up, we've got this huge thing here. Wow.
Ugh,
Oh,
Unbelievable.
so good.
love it. Love it.
Love it. Yeah.
Now, just my speculation, or just wondering, why do you think they announced this early? Do you think there's a reason for that? Is
Is it
it
early?
timely?
It's not really early
It's
compared
not
to
Seems right on
previous
time.
years. It's
Yeah.
it's right about
It's not.
Okay.
April-ish, May-ish is when they did last year's.
yeah.
Okay. I was just
Yeah.
like, whoa, already? I thought
Yeah.
there'd be some teasing and some,
There
some,
was for a day or two.
for a day, an afternoon.
Well, I mean,
There's more stuff coming, right?
yep.
yes.
Yeah.
So,
And they've been teasing this since they put up the tickets,
The Crossroads.
you know,
yeah,
the
that's true.
photos and the backgrounds and
Yeah.
stuff. So
The colors, the yeah.
I'm in love. I love every single iteration that they've
This
got.
may not come as a surprise to anybody, maybe Matt, because he doesn't know me very well yet. But the warrior, if only the warrior had a skull inside instead of the Xylernian face. If there was a
plate?
skull that plugged in there, it's not a plate. That's a whole
Oh, I see.
of the Xylernian helmet.
Yeah.
I need the Xylernian helmet with a
you
skull.
could put
inside.
one. I've done it before. I've put a skull.
yeah,
in
we
that
can make
helmet.
that happen, Brett.
You could totally do
Right,
it. I've
but
done it.
there's always difference between factory and cost and modification. But
Yeah.
is there a current skull that fits that?
Yeah.
Like, which one?
You lead your the builder figure, the builder 2.0 figure.
The deluxe skeleton.
Yeah.
The deluxe skeleton fits into that helmet.
That insert is the same insert as the Xylernian?
I believe
wow.
it fits
I didn't know.
perfectly. If you look at my account, I did a custom with that head. So
Okay.
yeah, that's
Oh.
give me a minute.
Well then
There you
dare I
go.
say that this is now the most perfect thing ever made.
Change my tune.
Because I was just going to take an Enoch head with the darker chainmail,
Yeah.
stick it on there, and stick an Elijah skull faceplate in, and call it a day.
There you go.
but I
Easy
love that
Skelly.
way that big face shield comes down like a welder's mask.
I do love that helmet. Yeah, that's such a great helmet. Duke Averona. Yeah, I could see that with the red eyes.
Yep.
There you go.
And
Yeah, I was
Lady
talking to-
Averona is going to be in the in-stock sale if anybody
Yes.
wants to like backtrack and get the matching, Lady
Grabbing
Averona.
one,
Well,
another
what
one.
I don't understand though is where that other faceplate goes because it doesn't fit the Sir Andrew head.
What's that,
And-
bro?
It
So-
goes in the
It does.
Aldrich, doesn't it? The Aldrich.
That's not the same shape. It's not the same size. It's
Oh.
completely different. That's more like the size of a Elijah, but what do I know?
Well, it's in the photos.
Yeah.
Right? Where is it? Hold on.
Oh, no kidding.
There's a photo with it on.
All right,
Yeah.
I was actually wrong. So sorry.
Yeah,
That-
there is the.
Well, there it is. I'll be damned.
Go ahead, Chris. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm so sorry. I was actually wrong. The one I used was I think it was the original
okay.
head, which I used the builder head. I just put the mask on with the
Oh,
skull.
it fit. Yeah, it fit. The
Yeah.
faceplate fits
Now-
on the. Okay.
It does fit, but Noah Pratt did this one. I got this one last year from him, and he put.
Oh man.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is that Zylonia head with, and I think he said he used
Full skull.
Brother Mandibulus. I'm not sure.
Oh,
Nope.
okay.
Nope. Not narrow and not
It's-
long enough in the jaw.
Who would that be? Would that be the original?
That looks like a regular skull. That's just
That looks like a
regular
one
full
Legion
skull.
Builder one.
Yeah.
Legion
It can
build.
be done, but it's just yeah.
Modding it. Yeah.
Bore it out.
Just Matt, Brett is our expert in all things skeleton or not meat.
I caught on to that.
I don't know if expert is the right.
No, between Mike and I think you have the two biggest skeleton people on here at once.
No,
Yes.
no.
Yeah.
Everything to
Okay.
me has to be.
There we go. Chris is on board with us.
Like I always say,
Bone daddies.
we are all skeleton guys deep down
Yes.
inside.
Yes, we are.
I love
Yes,
it.
we are.
Love it.
Well, I
At
was
least in the
talking to
middle.
Anthony Hausiel, and he was saying that it would have been cool if they would have. His idea was to change the eyes from red to scaphoid green, so it'd almost be like this guy was transitioning
Yes.
into scaphoid, and I'm like, that's pretty damn genius. That'd be
That
an
is
easy
good.
custom too.
That is good.
What's up, Vine Jungle Figure Factory?
What's up,
Hey, hey,
Bound?
hey. But yeah,
I
thought
love
that
the
was-
use
that
of
was
the
good.
centaur waist piece
Yes.
and loin. It
Mhm.
just gives him that. He's a tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I like the Sir Gerard head, making his return appearance for the,
Oh, yeah.
30 years in a row. But I really like those dragon wings on the helmet. Those are phenomenal.
Yes. Yeah, those are nice. I agree.
This is one of those sets I need one of each of the stock characters,
Yes.
and then I need like 3 to 4 more
Yes.
of it.
But
This
they
is the set,
did.
like where there will be people like hanging out at those island areas at Legion's Con. Like in the lobby, those islands, those
Putting them together.
in hanging out and making different combos. and
Yes.
taking pictures.
I
and sharing and stuff.
love seeing that. I
Trading parts.
Yeah.
Now they
I,
did say that this isn't the only Legion Con set coming out. There's more coming
No.
out.
Yep.
I could see another thing like this, but of cosmic.
Yes.
Okay.
I could see that.
Yep.
I've
Another
got
4
friends.
cosmic characters, but 2 figures, et cetera, et cetera.
I've got friends here in Virginia that have already asked me. He's like, they know I'm going to Legion's Con. They're like, can you pick me up one of the female sets? I'm like, yep. Yeah, I was like, do you only want one or are you going to want 2? Because you can't make all the figures unless you want 2. Or do you need 4 so that you can make all of these? And he's like, just 1 for now. I'm like, okay.
You know
Yeah, I
what
mean, you
would be
can
cool?
switch it up on your
I-
shelf for,
I wonder if they would do the Ox Crew big body as
That's kind of what I was thinking,
something.
Bill. It's
The
about
timing
that
might be just
time.
right for that,
Uh-huh.
where it's like that wave hits maybe this summer or something, and
I could,
then they
yeah,
announce
yeah.
the exclusive for Legion's Con, right? Right as
Yeah.
people are sort of getting that in hand and experiencing it, and then, yeah, I could see that.
That's kind of where my mind was going to, Bill.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree with that because with the Necronomnus wave, they gave us a preview of the skeleton body and the night body because
Mhm.
frankly, it took a while to get the Necronomnus wave out, and it is taking a while to get the Ox Crew waves out. So I can definitely see that happening.
Now
I mean,
with
in some ways, we're already getting a little teaser because the lizard body essentially is from that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because I think they said they're going to put the upper torso articulation on the Ninian or whatever, the one that is like a retailer exclusive, the green one. I think they said they're going to have that like upper torso articulation on that.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
awesome. Now, how soon do you think that, like, I'm worried about this stuff getting to us in November for Legion's Con. Like, I don't know how they're shipping. Like, I don't know if they've been open with that. Like, do you think that they'll put the Legion's Con stuff with the All-Star 6 stuff and ship it soon? Like, what do you guys think? I mean, maybe there's something I don't know. Do you guys know or have any speculation on that?
6 should be coming soon. I don't think this would
Well,
be with 6.
6 is going to be sitting in a backyard of
Oh,
a factory
that's
somewhere
true,
right
yeah.
now.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm pretty much I don't have, this is not inside knowledge. It's just the state of things, and like Matt said, people are warehousing stuff. It's cheaper right now to warehouse than to risk
Yeah,
paying
that's true.
145% tariff.
Yeah.
I firmly believe, and again, no inside information, that All-Star 6 is completely done and sitting in containers in the backyard of the factory, waiting. I would bet that Ox Crew 1 is 3/4 of the way through production. Legion's Con stuff will probably, start in the next month or two, because typically they want all that stuff here around late September, early October.
Right.
Again, it's going to really depend. Now, if they go ahead and put a container of all the Legion's Con stuff together, and ship it over, and we're at a 145% tariff, be prepared for a $70 exclusive.
Yep.
That was just my thought, because it's got to be here for Legion's Con. The other stuff can be like, oh, it's still, we're holding or waiting because of this or that, but like the Legion's Con stuff is specifically for that date, so it's like it's got to be here for that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a different circumstance, and that's the only thing that has me concerned, like what their plan is for that.
I wonder if we're going to see some smaller production sizes. Like, so if you think about a company bringing all this stuff in, and if they think they're going to have to sit on stuff and they have the tariffs on top of that, they may want to lower the size of the production so that it's not as many.
But
so
at
that
the
they
same
make sure
time,
everything
Bill,
sells.
you'll lower the production numbers. You can potentially increase your per unit cost.
That's true.
So you'd be tariffed at a higher cost per piece.
Yeah.
So it's a catch-22, really.
Yes.
Right.
Because I can totally see what you're saying.
I think during the tariffs, I think one of the ultimate things that would crush a company would be not being able to sell your stuff.
Right.
Right? Like sitting on stuff.
I mean,
and I think Four Horsemen are in a very fortunate position that pretty much everything they do eventually sells out completely.
Yeah.
Now you have some of the outliers, like this stuff that's going in the in stock this week. Some of those All-Stars, and the All-Star stuff tends to hang around, and we see it. So another brilliant move by them, going to something more like the Legacies or something else.
But it's nice to have that All-Star stuff in stock too. Like, instead of having to wait for a show, you can actually go on their website and pick it up. So I'm happy about that. I think that's cool.
Well, the legacies might be dropping at some point coming up here. I would think that obviously we'll get some this year. Whether they do a wave next or not, because they still have to do the Cosmic Ox Crew third wave.
Yep.
Um, and all that. But that Legacy, oh my, I can't wait for that. That's going to be great. The version 2s.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I just wonder if it's going to be one figure or, like a figure obscura. Is it going to be a small wave?
Jeremy kept saying it's going to be small waves and like 2 to 3 figure waves. And he keeps saying that we're going to get more frequent, smaller waves.
I could see the first wave being Otho and then the 2 great beasts that they are doing version 2s
like
of.
connecting story-wise figures, maybe.
Well, like they've already revealed that they're going to do Aetheron 2 and who's the other one? Xylona, yeah.
No.
So
Well, and that's perfect time to make them into the Legacy. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
could see that, Bill. I never even thought about those two.
those 3 could.
But
Be
yeah,
a wave,
that could be the
small.
first wave of Legacies. Could be.
Yeah, I think with Otho, you would want to throw Urzok with him. But I never thought about throwing. I thought with Xylona and Aetheron that they would throw them in an actual wave. And all
that could be too. Yeah, I mean,
But I like that idea. He's swaying me, Mike. Because I was with you on originally, but this is kind of something I never even thought of.
Here's the thing: like, they did say that they would do legacies for characters who might not normally have gotten a version 2.
Or there's no need for it in the story.
Yeah, and they're going to be more like a straight. Here's what it would look like if we had made it now, whereas some characters will get the evolution of the character for the version 2. So I guess the question would be, would those great beasts be something that they would really update the look on and the storyline on, or would those be something that they're just going to sort of like
This
be
is how we
locked
would
in?
have done it if
Right.
we could have done it back then.
Yeah, I was convinced. When I was doing my figure obscura box opening, I had to play it down because I was convinced that it was going to be Horus or one of the other bird Egyptian gods, because I was like, they're working on another Aetheron. They could take that Aetheron and make it, reuse parts of stuff for one of those Egyptian gods. I was very highly convinced that that's what was going to be.
Well,
Hi, Nova.
Oh,
There's Nova with Schmerber.
Gentlemen, I'm so sorry. I have to go. I apologize. I gotta
No
go.
problem.
Gentlemen, Nova.
It was nice seeing you yesterday.
I'm
Chris.
gonna have to let you guys go. I gotta catch a movie. Very nice seeing you too.
Have a good one,
All of
Chris.
you
We'll
have
see
a
you.
great
man.
day. Take care.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Chris. Great to see you, man.
See you, buddy.
Hey, best to your wife.
Take
Yeah.
care.
Greg, I
doing the
actually have
same
to head
thing,
out
guys.
myself too.
Oh, look at that. We're all heading out at once.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
I got-
It's a long show, man. It's a marathon.
Gotta go run some errands with my wife and kids. So
I appreciate you.
thanks for having me on, and nice seeing
See you.
everybody.
Okay,
Nice
John.
to see you, John.
there you
Thanks,
go. All right,
and thanks for helping
talk
me
to
out with
everybody soon.
Legendary Barbarian.
Oh yeah, no problem. Anytime. All
Take
right,
care.
I'll see you guys soon. Talk to everybody soon. Bye bye.
I got to go do the Hasbro May the 4th reveal stuff, get all those products set up.
Oh,
So you guys
yeah.
have a great rest of your day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sand
drop
Trooper.
the
I
one.
Sand Trooper
gotta
is
buy some
great.
of that stuff. Okay.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Anytime,
Thanks for
guys.
coming on.
Very
Nice
much.
talking to you.
Anytime. Have a good one.
Appreciate you. Take care.
Bye.
Quick
I'm-
question
I'm-
for you guys is, with legacies, will they give us some sort of a voting thing? Maybe put up 10 characters and say, you guys vote top 3, we're going to make into version 2. Or is that something that has gone the wayside?
I think it's gone the wayside of the voting. That's my personal opinion.
I think the voting is tricky because with them not just reissuing them, they would have to then spend all that time designing the figure after the vote. And then it's like this time, it's just like this long timeline that you lose that excitement for, right? And then the reveal is like all these months later or whatever. So, I mean, if anything, maybe they could design like design a couple and then have us vote or something.
Yeah.
See them and have us vote or some. I don't know. Like, but it would have to be a totally different format. I don't think it could work the way it does because you're gonna just like take the wind out of your own sails by having this super long time between the vote and then the winner being announced and then like what it's gonna look like. And I don't know.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I don't like voting for toys.
Oh, I love the All-Star voting. I thought that was just
because then there's someone who's going to be super upset, a group of people who will be super upset that they didn't get the figure they want, and it's just like when we do the Mortal Kombat things on Offworld where we vote, these characters versus these characters, and then sometimes people just pander and like they do because they don't care what the vote is, so they'll pick the dumbest option just to be dumb, and it's like I'm gonna get whatever they put out, so just do it. Just sell it to us.
Yeah, maybe we're at a place where the cabal can't even really handle something like that anymore. That's a real possibility.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah,
things have shifted. There's just so much like drama all the time when anything new gets announced. I mean, during the Dragon, it was crazy, man.
That's why we love the safe haven of Discord, Bill.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
The Dragon drove me to make my own Discord server.
I mean, I used to be on the Cabal every day, and now I'm like, I'll hop in, but it's usually just to say, hey, I've got this show coming out, or just to see what's going on with people that I know or whatever. But
yeah, when the Lair went to YouTube, I got off of the Cabal just because a time thing. I've been working so much in that, so I didn't realize there was a lot of negativity when stuff dropped. That's kind of news to me.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a new element.
It's a little more.
I think
it's because it's bigger. It's just more emphasized.
The Facebook
now.
effect is taking effect.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, yeah. I think it's more. There's a couple negative posts that get a ton of attention, as opposed to like there's more than there used to be, but they get a lot more traction than they used to. Because if anyone argues with them, you're a white knight or a shill or other words. Yeah. And there definitely are some white knight attitudes that come across the wrong way. So I'm not saying defending them is always done the right way, but people are people.
Yep.
People are people. Yeah, I miss the mystery boxes. I was bummed out that they're probably not going to do that anymore. I really thought it was fun, and it really caused a lot of interacting and trading amongst friends or people in the community. I just thought that was fun.
Yeah, I think that was a very, and the studio's just awesome, but I think that was a very good way to end All Stars.
Yes.
For them. I mean, they gave us a ton of figures that
flooded it. They flooded us with.
Yeah.
And they're almost done with them. they're getting fewer and farther between at shows.
I love these new traveling, like the Barbarian. Like I'm excited that each new year we're going to get. I mean, it seems like that's at least the tentative plan. Each new year we'll get a new show figure. And I've been to 3 shows. I have 1. So like I've gotten stuff for other people. So it's not like. I don't think it's flooding the market, and the fact that they're going to be available at the end, good for people who can sell them and make money off of it in the meantime. But hang on, folks, you'll be able to get it. Don't worry.
It's a good way to create a thing that has a lot of demand and that they can rely on the sales at the shows, but that will also be readily available to everybody at the end. It's actually it's kind of like a brilliant. I don't know if it was totally on purpose or what, but it's kind of a brilliant pattern to create something that is going to sell really well, but that everybody's going to be able to get essentially.
Right. So the touring is kind of like a preview, figure, but and what a great figure it is.
Oh, it's one of my favorite figures that they've done. I like the different colored hairs. I like all the accessories you've got. There you go. Schmerber's got it. I like also the options. Bill, I can't remember if you were the first one to suggest the Sir Gideon belt on him, which I still need to do.
Yes.
you
Yeah,
know,
I
you
love
mentioned
that.
how that would look, and I want to do that because I've got an extra one now to play around with on both of them. You know, I think the same thing too. I really enjoy even like I know they did not sell.
You guys talk for a second. I gotta go pee. I'll be right back.
Okay, it's going to be on the
All
in-stock sale, but the Headhunter is going to be coming out this coming week for people that couldn't get them from ZoloCon, and I love that figure. Tremendous figure.
Yeah, just kidding.
Okay, I was going to say, memorize this game. It's going to be me. It's the Heinrich and Jesse show.
Heinrich starts talking. Everybody's just like, I gotta go pee.
Well, listen, since they're gone, I can bring out, and still Star Wars, I can bring out some cool stuff to show, even though he can't embiggen me. So this is a resin Han Solo blaster that I got from a friend many years ago. It is a copy of a copy. The story is during A New Hope. This was an actual German Mauser that they were using, you know, and guys were having in their holsters and they were breaking them. So the armorer got tired of repairing them. So he took one of the Mausers, made a wax mold, poured metal resin into it, and then made something like this, and then handed it to the actors. And, you know, the scopes were actually inexpensive at the time. And he said, here you go. He's like, well, what do we do when the scene comes to fire? And he says, I'm going to have a box on the side that will have the trigger mechanisms so that when they went to go fire, a little puff of smoke came out. So they would be able to pull the trigger and a puff of smoke would come out. So if you watch New Hope and Empire and you see they do the scenes where they're firing and it's always Han Solo, Stormtrooper, Han Solo, so they alternate between the back of them because that's where you get the puff of smoke because you can only do, it's not a cartridge where you go bang, 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 bang.
Right.
So, but a friend of mine way back when was on a message board pre-Facebook, pre-MySpace, and was talking to this guy who was an armorer. So the armorer told him how he did it. The armorer sold him one of the resin models that he still had. Yeah, I guess he had a few of them. And my friend made a wax mold and then made this along with a few other stuff for people. And he was going to sell it in shows and all, but he kind of decided not to. But, you know, he painted, you can paint it the silver, you can do the New Hope version. So, but it's got that nice metal feel. I could paint the handle if I wanted, so it'd be wood, but I'm not. So that's really cool. And then I'm going to show this one since we're talking about. This is from, I've got a couple of coins from the Pennsylvania Star Wars Fan Club Collecting Society. They do a fundraiser every year for for a charity. They pick a charity, and they have they work with Lucasfilm to get approval and get a doing it. So skip the Avengers, but these three here in the middle here. So Boba Fett, Darth Maul, and the Stormtrooper, all ones I've done, and so they usually limit them to about, I think, 1,000 or 1,200, and they only cost, I think it's $10 or $12, and that includes maybe a few bucks for shipping. Then I don't know if Trevor's still on or if you had to hop off, but
nice.
My Hot Toys Boba Fett in the original,
almost bought that.
the original colors, the original toy colors. So he's fantastic.
That's great.
And then make sure I grab the right one here.
Kevin, I think it was the flaming. Did you guys answer that already? The spectral.
No, I was trying to make sure, confirm it. Yeah, it's the second head without the jaw, the flame effects, and the eye smoke.
Oh.
Sorry, Heinrich, go ahead.
That's okay. So a couple years ago, 20 years ago, at a friend's toy store, they bought a collection of Star Wars figures and like assorted things, including like a box of puzzle. A box that had a puzzle in it that had supposedly never been opened. Well, when the second owner came in, who was the expert, and they opened up the box, there were 5 figures in the box. So the young man had played with it when he was a boy, and then put it in the box for safekeeping. And then his mom went and sold those stuff. So I bought this for $15. So this is a mint Boba Fett, still very, very stiff limbs. And I bought it for $15. And it goes along with my other one, this was the one that I have that's, you know, I played with like crazy. So he's a little bit worn, but it's one of my prized possessions that I was able to pick. I ended up also getting a Princess Leia Endor that I actually traded with Nate Barch, and I got a Templar that he actually added some painted accents to, and also a weapons pack to. And what's the other one? Oh,
I might have to hunt for some Kenner next weekend.
Cool. And then And then Hasbro did a retro one with a hold on a second, sorry, grabbed the wrong one.
Yeah,
Oh, here it is. The retro one with the that's the one with the rocket firing one. So, because it was as a kid, it was always a mystery. It's like, oh, the rocket's supposed to come out. Well,
Right.
you really couldn't. But then we heard about it. It's like, oh, my brother actually tried to saw it off, and like his got messed up. But yeah, this was really cool when Hasbro did this. We really were like, I think I have two of them. And then of course they did last year. They did the again the colors. They just used the one mold, and he's got that. And then they did the one that was in the colors of the actual
Is that droids or was that animated series?
Animated series.
Okay, because there's two of them that look very similar.
Yeah,
one's from the Christmas special and one's from the droid show.
Yep. So those were my Boba Fett and some Star Wars stuff I wanted to kind of show off today.
Nice. Thanks for showing those.
Yeah. So I did that while everybody's doing the.
I want to show Casper this.
Ooh.
Yes. Let me see.
Oh my. Okay, so is that a
legendary barbarian?
Oh wow.
Oh.
Very nice. Oh nice.
And I put one of Bulu with snakes wrapped around the neck.
Yeah, you have the wrist bracelets.
Which skeleton are you using, Brett?
It's either a Terp or a Necro.
Yeah, I think it's a okay, gotcha.
Because the Terp and Necro have the same torso, just a different belly plate.
Right.
And nobody will confirm or deny whether Thrasis and the Raider have the extra ports or not yet to me.
Oh.
Oh, right. So, yeah, I wonder.
Yeah.
You asked Joe V?
I'd be okay with, yeah, he's like, I don't remember.
Damn it, Joe.
But yet Joe remembers enough that yesterday at dinner he said did you know there's 5 different shaft lengths on the waist peg part? No, Joe, I didn't know that. I thought there were only 2. He's like, yeah, there's 5. It's a pain.
Very cool, Brett. That's very
cool. Very awesome.
I'm waiting for a bone knee that I can plug into the boots, because that will be the perfect coup de grace.
I love those cauldrons.
Yes.
I was kind of giving you shit about the barbarian at where was that? What show was that? MuskyCon. MuskyCon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you can't make a skeleton out of it. And you're like,
mate, just hold on.
Let me show you.
Hey,
sure
Schmerber,
hold my pretzels.
Yes,
I put in
the
chat the link for Brian Burke's Star Wars.
Yeah, I had it up. I had it already.
Okay.
Up here. Let's see. He's got a
Necro Trooper head.
It's a Star Wars helmet skull.
Yeah. And then he's got a special. It's on Facebook. I don't know if he showed it. Hold on.
It's on his Instagram too. If you
yeah,
easier to find.
I got
and
it.
then he's going to do a back attachment if he hits 70.
There was a post on Instagram that said it was whatever the unlock was hit.
Oh, okay.
Right there.
Yep.
There you go. Necro Trooper.
Kidding. That is pretty cool.
Yeah, I just ordered mine.
I can't wait to see what people like Blaze Bear do with that.
I might have to ship mine to him.
Yeah, his stuff is
very cool.
Beautiful.
I could see that painted all muscle and sinew and
ooh,
tendon, and then metal and wood down below, and even a little bit of bone for those protrusions.
His style is so unique.
I love it.
Talented.
And his Von Bach stuff is insane. And John Brown Toys, if I'm getting that right, please correct me if I'm wrong. He has somebody who was doing some painting of the Von Bachs, and I picked up one of the.
Josh Brown.
Paintings. Yeah, Josh Brown. Sorry. So those were great.
Brian just does a wonderful, creepy, disgusting yet beautiful all at the same time. And I highly recommend his slip-on helmets. They are just the most perfect things for skeletons, just to bump them up just a notch.
I'm so glad I picked one of those up. I was luckily following you around at Legion's Con. This guy's buying whole sets of people's customs.
You got 3 of them? I'll take them.
Yeah.
So
I was
he
living
has
vicarious.
that will just slip on Mythic Legion
Right
skeleton.
there.
Yeah,
Right there.
Yeah.
Oh
And,
wow!
and he's got 5 variations. And he's got one that's got that skin stretched over, like some people got defaced and the skin got stretched over into a helmet. Is just
and they fit perfect.
perfect.
Wow.
That one right there on the bottom
There
right
it is.
there.
There you go.
That's disturbing.
Isn't it though?
But
Isn't
awesome.
that the
It
most
is.
sick and disgusting and disturbing thing you've ever seen?
It
But it's
is.
so beautiful.
Butcher helmet.
Yeah, the butcher cut off the face.
I like this one myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is super cool. Yeah, too bad he couldn't join us today. He had it. Heinrich invited him, but he's a busy guy.
Look at that.
But yeah, his stuff is beautiful.
Oh
Big
my,
fan.
it is.
Mike, you need to hit Von Burke up this Legion's Con.
Look at that.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, Mike, you like this stuff. It's awesome.
And the other 3 are just as amazing. They're not as ornate, but there's something about them.
He did a drop that was that Black Knight one that was limited.
This one I bought right here.
Yeah.
I bought the black. I think I have 2 Black Knights. I have to look.
Like that look right there is just so.
Yeah. Damn it, Brett! You turned me into a skeleton lover, you son of a bitch.
Brett, you did it.
Good stuff. Good
Nice.
stuff. So we're doing show and tell. Heinrich, you showed off your stuff already. Were you good on
Well,
that?
I showed off. I got a couple, just quick
Okay,
more.
hold on. Let me.
Thank you, Brian Carr, for enabling me on these. This is the Defenders of Eden.
They're such great figures.
These are great. They're big. They're bulky. They're fun. They scale well with Mythic Legion. So I did pick up the 3, including well, he stuff falls off all the time, but there's Vaspo. Just amazing. And then the one that is the Emil Wickman tribute figure, the Bronto. His neck comes off all the time.
Awesome.
And then because my friend Schmerber enabled me, I've got the Batman Hush.
Yes. Perfect figure.
That arrived. He's going to go with the other guys, and we'll go with my Hush. Since it's Star Wars and something is new stars, I don't think I'd shown this one off before when last time I was on New Mythics, but she came
that's
in.
a good one. I love that.
Love the soft goods on her. She's beautiful. And then, unfortunately, I've kind of gotten into these, and they are so stupid addicting. They are the Transformers. Because like I never really collected Transformers huge. You know, I had a couple when I was growing up. My younger brother had most of them. He was an original collector. But I picked up these and just pictures. Get your head. So these are really cool. These blockies, same basic build, but with different chests and arms. And there's, basically if you get into them, you might as well buy a box so that you get at least one of everything.
They look fun.
And you sit around and you put them together, and then they're fun. So I've got I think I bought 3 boxes, and then I've got 2 more on the way, and then I'm done.
Nice. Mike, what about you, man?
Well, the only thing I got this week is this sweatshirt I have on from Retro Regs.
Nice.
Cool.
Lair.
Love it.
So I love my hoodies. Now let's see if I can show you the back. You guys
Nice
see the
butt. Thanks.
Oh,
Mike.
yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to show us your butt.
Thank you.
No, look good. That's a nice
Great.
sweater. Nice sweatshirt.
Yeah, so that's all I got this week.
I know
Now,
you've been
last
busy.
week I did get Ganesha in.
Okay. Yeah.
So-
has there been any figures that you've really, been looking at or had near you or on your shelf or?
Oh, well, I always right here.
There you go.
There's the Casper.
This bad boy. Yeah. Caspar. And once again, thank you so much to Matt Rod for thinking about me naming this figure after me. This figure is amazing. His line is amazing. And I can't thank him enough.
Very cool. That's a nice figure too.
It was nice to play around with those at MuskyCon.
Yes, and to see the stuff that's coming for sure.
Yeah.
I do
Sadly,
have
I don't have
ride
space.
door if anyone's interested in.
No, don't get me down that hole.
What was that, Greg?
I said I have an extra ride door for sale if anyone is interested in the chats or anything. I've got an extra that
I might reach out to you.
Yeah, shoot me a message. I got you.
I spent all day yesterday getting rid of stuff to make room.
Did you empty some boxes off, Brett?
Let's just say half of my dragons got paid for with yesterday's haul.
Wow. Sweet.
Wow. How many dragons did you get, Brett?
8.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Brett sent me this stack of his fodder. I was trying to find some pictures of him with a table, but I don't remember who took the pictures.
There's Brian Carr. Didn't Brian Carr have some?
Was it Brian? Yeah, I was trying before the show to find the pictures of
Patrick
the show,
Boyle did one and put it in Discord.
I heard you were the star of the show, man. People they hit the tables and then they went to Brett and built some figures. So I hope you do that again. I don't know what your next show is or your next plan, but I hope that you will.
I need a year to recuperate.
Damn it.
Just a year to replenish those.
This was the table, and this was about half of.
I would have loved to build a figure or two.
It was a feeding frenzy.
Wow.
It was glorious to behold.
I bet.
Just
Jesse,
watching everybody go through and pick stuff. I got a couple of things he had out at the very beginning. Like one of my show and tells is this guy.
Oh, yes. D20.
Yeah. I have the black and the gray one, and Brett had this out with that metal armor, and I was like, all right, that's going to Urkzok.
You got me.
His rusted metal. And a troll. I got a troll. I didn't bring that up on my desk, but
That's okay.
I didn't go through the fodder parts as much, just doing the Wolf King thing, but like just watching everybody go through like all day, almost nonstop. People were just like picking things out and then back and forth. It was awesome to watch. So I'm glad it did well for you, Brett.
Well, hopefully it'll be at a show that I will be able to attend. You got to let me know ahead of time, Brett.
Well, Lehigh's a convenient one.
Right. Absolutely.
It's right in the backyard.
Yeah, there was also the West Coast meetup.
Yep.
That had Curtis and Iz and Thomas.
David Williams and Nate Barsh and Brick
I don't know if Wyatt make it to that. I don't know. I didn't really see a lot of pictures from that.
Mm-mm.
Maybe there'll be some that comes in.
I saw a couple late yesterday, and I saw a video. Somebody did a nice quick pan of the room that looked fun.
Mm-hmm.
Looked like there was some great stuff. Brian Lynn was there, Carver Customs.
Yes, Brian Lynn. That's right. You flew out or drove out. I'm not sure.
I saw the morning line wishing Van a happy birthday.
Yeah.
Their line was short.
Oh.
Our line was big.
Yeah, there were
Bill,
three.
how about you?
Yeah, Bill, what you
got? East side.
So I have those Star Wars figures that I was opening up. So this is
I love that
Scout Trooper that I just cracked open. That's, I guess, just a regular Return of the Jedi one. Yeah.
Did you see the new 3-pack?
I did. That stuff's going up in a couple hours too.
1 o'clock, I think.
So, Bill, is that a 3 and that's a 6-inch, right?
No, this is a 3 3/4.
So vintage.
Gotcha.
So there's that one. So I was just in the mood to crack open some figures that I was
nothing wrong with that.
Behind on Star Wars. This Anakin is, I like the body and stuff, but this is like the Ahsoka, I think, flashback Anakin.
Yeah.
I don't love the head sculpt here. Like, I don't know what's really
the body's good though.
But yeah, it's a pretty good figure overall. It's just I don't love this face.
But It's better than the one they did a while back, which I got rid of.
Yeah, I need more of a specific Clone Wars one, I guess.
Yeah, I agree.
This is probably the best of the bunch.
Yeah,
that
look
I
at
just
that.
opened
That's
up.
great.
This is I'm pretty sure this is top to bottom pretty much brand new.
That's the Commander,
moves.
isn't it?
This
Or is that the regular Snow Trooper?
This is the regular. I think the Commander might be in that 3-pack.
The Commander's in the 3-pack. Yep.
I think so. So that's this one. And I saw side by side. They're very different. So
They are. The pauldrons are upside down. The buttons are different.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. The helmet's different helmet on the Commander versus the regular
So
Trooper.
was
I
the
always loved that
Commander
design.
in the movie at all?
Yes. He's one of the ones that's in the cockpit
Right.
with Veers and what's his face driver.
So this, this figure's great. Like, it moves so well. It's got a lot of nice little, even though it's like almost all, one color, it's got a lot of little paint details. It's super nice. Of the bunch, this is my favorite one.
Yeah,
I
that's
always loved
finally,
the Snow Troopers.
Andor's been killing it.
She's
this figure's not
hot.
great. I mean, this, so I don't know. What do you guys think? The neck seems really long to me.
A little bit.
Yeah.
The head sculpt is not bad though.
The face
The
is
paint job on
decent.
the face is good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good there. But the legs are from I forget who, like one of the other
Krennic, maybe.
Yeah, it's from a guy. Like they're a guy's legs, and so like the proportions of this thing is all crazy.
Now that you mention it, yeah, it does look a little off for sure.
Yeah. The Black Series, they use those tallow legs, so they got the female body proportions right.
Yeah, it's a shame that they would have such an awesome character, and kind of shortcut it with these reused legs.
And you're right, that show is just killing it. We are watching peak Star Wars, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the second season, but I love her in the first. She's a great villain.
Wait till
they come out
till the
swinging.
second one. Mm-hmm.
Season 2 came out swinging.
Yeah,
It's already halfway. We're already halfway through the season.
I'm gonna rewatch season 1 and then do season 2 when it's over, and then Rogue One. So I'm waiting until
you can watch 2 days. Set aside 2 full days to marathon it.
Whole weekend.
It is a great rewatch. Very rewarding. Even there's the story and all, but even just visually, just like seeing all the little details, like the scrapyards in the background and seeing recognizable ships and just all. They like put a ton of very careful visuals into these.
Oh wow!
Into this show, it is so damn good.
Yeah.
So
and the story. Wow. Go ahead, Mike.
Do they have a Vader show coming out and a Obi-Wan season 2, or is that just rumors?
I'm not sure.
I would say rumor at this point.
Okay.
I thought I heard Obi-Wan season 2, and I would love to see a Vader show, but man, the production on that would be. But
I've heard Acolyte season 2 is coming, so you never believe anything you hear when it comes to Star Wars, even when it comes out of their mouths.
You said Acolyte 2?
It's funny because you're exactly right. Because think of how many shows they literally announced with graphics,
right?
And that just aren't even
the Lando Chronicles.
Yeah, Rogue Squadron or whatever, Star Wars Squadrons. Like that was like they had the director and they had an interview and like there was like
creative differences. I'm out.
She was ready. Yeah,
There's also a lot of budgeting questions going on. Like there was something not Star Wars related, but it was actually related to Disney and Avengers. Jeremy Renner was on something. I saw a video where he said they, of course he had that horrible accident. He's recovered. But they were in talks to do Hawkeye season 2, except they wanted him to do it for half price. It's like, what? Why would I want to do 8 months of filming for half price? So he said no.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't blame him. He said it wasn't the director, it wasn't producer, it was Disney coming out and said, we're only going to pay you half.
He said that Disney, the penny pinchers, like the accountants of Disney, maybe not
finance weenies.
Yeah, the finance weenies.
I mean, this is like a
good for him for being vocal about it though too. It's like because people are wondering, well, why wouldn't he be? Where's Hawkeye and his series? So now we know it was a money thing, And he's like, I didn't ask for more money. I just asked for the same that I got for season 1. That seems reasonable to me. That'd be like, going back to work and they offer you half of what you, it's like,
especially if the season 1 did well.
And it did.
Seems like people like that.
It did. It was great.
It was a good show.
But as for the Star Wars stuff, like you said, the graphics and stuff, it's almost like they continue based off of our reaction. If it's like, if the reaction was maybe some semi-negative for Acolyte, well, let's just cut it. Let's just pull the plug. And it's like, if you can always convince the naysayers that, if you didn't like Acolyte season 1, maybe season 2 will be better. Like let's try and give it more life and give it a chance instead of
it used to be that way. Like, think about all the Star Trek seasons where the first 3 seasons they're like still figuring it out, and
right.
They're kind of not great when you go back and rewatch them, but like then you get like this really good television because they took the time to do it, and no show can do that anymore. They can't take their time. Like they just budgetary.
I want to interrupt for a quick. My boss just sent me a text message, and it's pursuant to this topic. This is my boss and his family.
Nice.
That's your boss?
That's my boss and his family.
Which one? Okay.
The tall man in the back.
Okay.
Oh,
That's adorable.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share that real quick.
That reminds me of is it Me, Myself, and Irene, where Jim Carrey she looks at his picture, his old picture of him and his family as the Wizard of Oz, and she's like, "Oh, I love that. Was that Halloween?" And he's like, "No, we were just hanging out."
I don't remember that.
It's like a tiny little subtle scene, but it's like the funniest thing ever. I'm pretty sure that's the movie it's in.
You know what would have been fun to play is the Emil Wickman video for Christmas that he and his family did.
Yes.
Where he's dressed up as the Jedi and they're doing all the cool little special effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. My show and tell, I guess I will just do Ganesha, which has, man, this figure is heavy too.
Yeah, it is.
Heavy, solid figure.
Chunky boy.
I was not sure. Like I honestly, I was not sure about it. I did watch Bill's review and I still was not really sure. And then Brett's like, just buy it. And then I saw it at ToyCon and I was just like, unbelievable. Just in person. It blew me away. So yeah, this figure is gonna look amazing on anyone's shelf. I do love that insert piece that was that Nate painted that or Tom?
The backdrop was Tom.
Yeah, the backdrop.
Yeah.
Love that. And then I keep always going back to this guy. I don't know what it is, but this figure is just so damn fun and well made. I don't know. It's like I want one in every room just because it's just such a great figure and just fun to, like Bill's term, hand candy. Mm-hmm. It's just a blast to pose and I go outside and set them in the backyard and it's an instant good picture for me. But it's just a fun figure.
The helmets that you got for me from Corey at MuskyCon fits on him perfectly too without the hair.
Yeah, those are awesome. I don't know are those available online? Does he have some kind of
I don't know
store or something?
I hope he makes a bunch of them up for Legion's Con. Have you seen those, Bill?
No, Corey.
Hold on a second. Grab it.
Shorts and something.
Corey Schwarzenhofer.
Yes,
that's steam powered mum
something
like that.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been in touch with him. He sent me some stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
They're really great slip-on helmets, just like the Von Burke for the skeleton helmets we were showing earlier. But this is
very similar, Brett.
And it's on there. I mean, it's solid. It's not loose. I mean,
$5. Come on now.
Cool.
They're ready to slap on.
That looks great.
I like you got the ears, you got the nose piece. It's
very dynamic. 2 versions too, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, I forget there's more. It's in the other room, but
Yeah.
it's the most easy one to grab. So, but no, I love it. He did a fantastic job on those. I thought I was like, that's another one. It's like make a bunch of them for Legion's Con, and they're gonna sell like hotcakes.
$5. Heck yeah.
People buy you don't even think about it. It's like I just buy 2, give them a 10, buy 2, give them a 20, buy 4. I mean, those were phenomenal.
Absolutely. I wanted to shout out Brett for the show for Lehigh. I got a few pictures, not of Brett, but of these awesome guys, Chris and Jamie, Ed, and Brian.
Well, actually, if you look closely enough, I am in that picture.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah.
You're right there behind you.
Easter egg.
Right above Ed's left ear there is me, with the guy with the red sleeve behind me.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. And then also
I gotta tap out, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Long-winded show. We're getting ready.
No, it's okay.
I appreciate it.
All right. See you guys later.
Take
See you,
care.
Jesse. Yeah, I was gonna wrap it up. Sorry, I was just doing a quick shout out for Brendan doing this great meetup
That was awesome,
in
too.
New Jersey. Thank you, Brendan, for doing that. That was awesome. And then I just wanted to ask what shows people were going to go to next.
Bring up the Horseman site there.
It's
No,
coming,
not
it's
the
coming.
picture, not the picture. Go to the actual site and bring up the events because it's got them in order. It's got.
You asked too much of me.
I know, but this is an easier way to do it because then it dropped
Okay.
off the old ones, so it's a more streamlined view.
Legion's Con.
well-
That's it.
Yeah.
Damn you,
well-
Michael!
Well,
I miss you, man. I miss you
Well, next year, buddy.
because you're retiring by the summer.
No, I'll be retired early next year.
Okay.
February. End of
Okay.
February.
Cool.
I got 3 years and 2 months left to go.
Cool.
So next year I'll hit a lot of cons.
Awesome.
Cool. I just want to give a shout out to both Brian Carr and John for picking me up Legendary Barbarians at ToyCon. Appreciate you guys, and also to also on the Cabal. And hopefully, I'm not going to mispronounce his last name. Brett Swihart, who did these great He did 12 pop and swap customs that were like phenomenal.
Oh, those are cool. Yeah.
Cool. He did a cool story for each one. Enjoyed reading each one and seeing each of the pop and swaps he did. If anybody has not seen it, just go pop in. It's his last name is spelled SWI Hart, HART, and he's got some. He lists all the parts. He lists all the figures that he's done,
Cool.
and he did an amazing job with everything. And I'm just totally blown away. So check him out. Leave a comment for him on the post.
Absolutely. Thank you, Heinrich. Okay, so where
Updates.
Updates. Okay.
Listen to Bill and I. We know that website
Sorry, guys.
blindfolded.
So we've got these are done. So Shop the Curiosity is next. That's in Danbury, Connecticut.
Yep. I'll be there.
I'll be there.
Awesome. Yeah, I've never been to that show. I've never been to Connecticut. I would love to check it out.
How's that show, Bill? Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good. It's small and it's very vintagey. It's a lot of nostalgic toys.
I love that.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just a really good, intimate. Yeah.
There was a lot of vintage at ToyCon too.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have IshCon on the 17th and 18th. Maryland Toy Expo.
I'll be
there.
I'll be there. Okay, great, Brett. We get to hang out. I will be there. Jesse and Wolfkin Customs will be the street team there.
Awesome.
That is another great show. It is 2 buildings at the Timonium Fairgrounds in Timonium, Maryland, just northwest of Baltimore. It has got so much stuff in the buildings. It's amazing. Mark Rogers runs the show. He usually does a line just for the 4 horse people going to the 4 horsemen booth. And I got to meet last year or Chris, I should say, and his wife. I got to meet so many people. I met Jordan and Van, and of course,
No Van last year, just Jordan.
Just Jordan. Sorry, just Jordan.
Hey, there's a really good restaurant over there at the grandstands by the racetrack that has amazing crab cakes.
There you go. So come. Hopefully, anybody from PA area, come on down. Maryland, Virginia, it'll be great. Just go early and stay a little late because the Beltway sucks.
Yeah, and it's a close one for me because it's the same distance for me to go there as it is to the studio or to ToyCon or.
There's another show that's not on this list that's in between. So on June, so I think Maryland is June 14th. So you have that big jump between it's like a month between IshCon and Maryland. There's a show in Beacon, New York that is, I think it's pretty much like a half hour or something away from Danbury, Connecticut on the 8th and the 9th, I think, June 8th and 9th. That is 5 Points Fest.
Oh, yeah. /
Toy Pizza Expo.
Toy Pizza.
Now, there's, I believe 4 Horsemen are going to be there. I don't know what kind of presence they're going to have, if they're just attending or if they're going to have a setup.
to attend it every year, but if they may set up at it this year, who knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure. And I do know that Matt Dowdy is going to be there. Onell Design, obviously Toy Pizza, Jesse will be there. So, and then it's just a big art show. It's a lot of like designer toys. It's a show that I think used to be in Brooklyn, and then they shifted.
It used to be at 5 Points.
Yeah, and so they moved it now and combined it with the Toy Pizza Expo.
Diego and George will be there for sure.
Yeah, but I want to say that the Horsemen said that they're going to be set up in some capacity there. So
that might be Infinite Legion's debut.
Ooh.
Could be. They did just post that they were up here in Mass at Matt's place.
Ooh.
Like how you think.
And they said infinite possibilities.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
Very good. Well, fellas.
Okay.
It's been a great show, man.
Sorry I was late. I was sleeping on the couch.
How dare you?
Those purple gang boys had me up late last night.
Yeah, it was a long show there. It was a good show. But thank you guys. I appreciate you taking the time and sitting in. Bill, thank you for hopping in.
Yeah,
I hope that wasn't rude me sending you a message. You're always welcome. Always try to have room for people that are in the chats that want to hop on. I love that. I love more interaction. That's less talking for me and more talking for you guys. So
this
it's a good thing.
This live show here is really fun.
Yeah.
So getting
it's a hangout. It's a conversation.
Sunday morning to just talk Legions.
Yeah.
Really fun. So keep it up.
Thank you.
Really good seeing you, Mike.
I wanted to quickly mention William Houston's comment. I would not have the Barbarian if not for Mr. Schmerber, and I am the same.
Oh,
so thank you, Greg, for
awesome
hooking me up with one as well.
Oh, he hooked me up with a couple.
Me and Brett and Terrence, and we don't mind. I told Cookie the other day, I'm like, I hope you guys don't think that I'm like hoarding or selling them. Like that's not me. I love the studio, and I would never do that. But I want. If people can't make it, like Bill, you would have to wait until when, the next
this weekend.
Show.
This weekend is
first
show.
So I don't mind, if I can grab one an extra and box it up and send it out to friends. I'm happy to help. I know Brett had, I think at MuskyCon, no, not at ZoloCon. We both had bought a bunch. This was kind of that was the first premiere, right, of the Barbarian, and they were letting us go back in line and grab for other people. And I know me and Brett had grabbed a bunch for other people. And I said, how many did you end up with, Brett? And you didn't, did you have one at all? Did you get
for
one?
myself from Zolo? Yeah. No, but I shipped them to Washington, to California, to
same.
Luxembourg.
I shipped to England.
Every one I got, I shipped over out the door. The one I got at Muskie is the one that you just saw. That I turned into a skeleton. The ones I got at ToyCon, they all dispersed into the winds already. I sent Dennis and Noah some. I've just every time I've gotten them, it's been out they go, because I know I
Yeah.
have repeated
friends
access
sharing.
to it.
Yeah.
And
Friends sharing, especially
yeah.
you're at every goddamn show, so you know you're sharing the love, and I love that. You know, it's a community. It's like all these people, we kind of help each other. And I was gonna send you another sword too, Bill. I have that sword and I'm not a fan of it, so if you want the sword that broke, I can send you the one that came with mine if you want it.
I have tons of that sword.
Okay.
You got to
I
be
felt
careful
bad.
getting that sword out, because I broke a couple of the tips, or I broke the tip on mine, and I know other people have broken the tips. Got to be careful which way you pop it out, or it'll.
I know, yeah.
It's shrunk in there a little tight on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, true that. Well, thank you guys again. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for people for hanging out, watching. I appreciate you guys, and I'll be back in 2 weeks, 2 and 2, and look forward to hanging out again. Thank you guys.
All right,
See you
thanks.
guys.
Bye, guys.
Remember, friends, to always have fun, be curious, share, and enjoy what this line has to offer. Come for the toys, but stay for the friends. Good night, and thank you very much.